Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about it.
I don't think I've ever said this before.
Yeah, it is a pretty wild thing. Anyways, we're live. Gang, lot to cover, a lot. Some things was revealed apparently on Signal communication. People on the left are losing it, but at the same time, UAE comes out and says we're going to put $1.4 trillion investment into the U.S. You got, who is it, Hyundai, $21 billion. You got Rolls-Royce saying they're going to start developing their cars and stuff here in the U.S. with 6,000 jobs being created. Very interesting things. And by the way, one of the charts I want to show you guys is a number of what happened the moment China joined the World Trade Organization. I'm going to show you numbers and what it looks like. You'll be shell-shocked, absolutely shell-shocked. We'll cover that. Adam was kind enough this weekend to go watch Snow White, so he can give us an update
Got you,
on
PBD.
how
I got
she's
you,
doing.
baby.
The apparently, according to the actress, what's her name? Ziegler?
Rachel Ziegler, yeah.
Rachel Ziegler. There's a line outside of the theaters around the nation just to see her, according to her, because she's such an incredible actress and knows how to really activate the feelings we had as kids and watching this, or our daughters, or take our family to watch the movie. But unfortunately, that's not what the market said. It's heartbreaking to see her go through this, and I don't think a lot of people are surprised by it. Trump demands a full-throated apology from Maine governor on transport's flap to settle funding dispute, even as universities back down. Tom's got a lot of thoughts on that. Trump revoked security clearance for Joe Biden and entire family, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, and many others.
Good.
U.S. gold card scheme a hit. Trump's top official says they've sold 1,000 in a day. 1,000 in a day. That's a big number. He said this, I think, on a podcast with All In and Shamad and those guys. All right, next, car makers rush to ship vehicles to U.S. ahead of new round of April tariffs. Tom's got some thoughts on that. Tesla vandalizers hit with severe charges. Justice Department announces. You got to hear this one.
Good.
Hegseth makes move against judge after she blocked trans troops ban. And you have to see this tweet that Vinny showed me yesterday. Absolute epic what that was. Corey Bush's husband, charged in alleged COVID fraud scheme. Not many people are surprised, but there's some commentary Tom wants to give on that. RFK calls to ban one of Big Pharma's most powerful tools, rattle drug makers despite uncertain political prospects. By the way, if he does this, half of mainstream media companies will have to fire half their people, and the other half will go out of business or be sold to somebody else. It's going to be devastating if he ends up doing this. Germany, foreigners account for 1 in 3 long-term unemployed. Foreigners account. It's a very interesting story there as well. The salary you need to be considered middle class in every state in America. Adam's got some thoughts on that. Snow White, we'll talk about Snow White. Rosie O'Donnell goes full erection denier.
No, it's election.
It's election, I think.
I'm sorry.
But you're right, Bill,
Kinda
because
the same anyways.
she is an erection denier because she's a lesbian. But
So I was right.
you were technically right. It's called a double entendre.
Yeah, 4.1 billion men have denied having an erection within 5 feet of her.
You guys are making
half
fun
the
of my
world
English,
population,
and
which
you're
would
telling
make
me
sense.
I'm wrong, but I'm right.
You're right.
So how do I read this? Do I say Rosie O'Donnell goes full election denier or erection denier?
Do both.
Okay, election denier. So claims
English is like his
Musk
fifth language, guys.
stole
It's something to look
2024
credit
for Trump. CNN dunks on Gavin Newsom's blatant lies about his past. I got some opinions on him. I was on Hannity's shin, what I think is going to happen here, and I think it's going to happen very, very soon, folks. Bill Maher reveals he's going to meet Trump at the White House, and his friends are not happy about it, not at all. Jimmy Kimmel attempts to backtrack after appeasing to give wink and nod to anti-Tesla terrorists.
Ugh.
And then we got a couple other stories. I don't know if you remember Cain Velasquez a few years ago.
Yep.
When there was somebody that did something to his 4-year-old son, and he went out of his way. The shooting, the former champion is now getting 5 years for it.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, exactly. And Hyundai announced $20 billion investment in the U.S. And we got a few other stories, something that's going on with The Atlantic, with Steve Jobs' widow. But prior to doing that, gang, I'll make it very simple for you. I get a lot of questions about people telling me, Pat, I'm at a point in my life where I just can't find myself to get to the next level. My life is good. My wife is good. My family is good. My this is good. But I'm just having a hard time getting out of bed. I'm having a hard time being fired up. I'm having a hard time identifying what I need to do next. And I tell them, every single one of them, I said, get off this Manect, go order the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, read it, Manect me back when you finish the book. You'll see why. The book was specifically written. When I wrote this book, I wrote it because over the years I've done a lot of business plans for a lot of different people, and I noticed there's 12 blocks that you need. 6 of them are emotional blocks, and 6 of them are logical blocks. Most people do business plan with only one or the other. It's either only focus on emotions, dreams, why? It's either only focus on logic. This book breaks down all the 12. If you've not yet read it, this is the National Reading Month. Place the order, sign copy, and if you order it now, I believe the first 100 are getting these Choose Your Enemy Wisely custom mug that'll be sent to you as well, on top of the free bookmarks of Choose Your Enemies Wisely that'll come your way as well. Place the order, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, signed copies on vtmerch.com. Okay, with that being said, let's get right into it. Rob, this is the Trump officials text war plans to a group chat on a secure app that includes a journalist, which is kind of weird, right? This is a story that comes out yesterday, and they were all over the place talking about this. I'll read this to you, and Rob, let's play a couple clips. Top Trump officials, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, Vice President J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz texted war plans for Yemen strikes to a signal group that accidentally included Jeffrey Goldberg, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic. Goldberg reported contained operational details of forthcoming strikes on Iran-backed Houthis rebel in Yemen, including information about targets, weapons the U.S. would be deploying. The attack sequencing, the National Security Council confirmed, appears to be authentic, and Trump initially said, I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time, before joking via Elon Musk post 4D chess genius, Trump leaks war plans to The Atlantic where no one will ever see them. The leak revealed by The Atlantic on Monday sparked outrage. The Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer calling it one of the most stunning breaches of military intelligence I've ever read about in a very long time. Okay, Rob, let's go through a couple of these clips. So here's a president in the Roosevelt Room. Go for it, Rob.
The story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis?
Right.
Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time. Anybody else?
What else you got? You got one response from Hegseth as well?
I do. This is Pete Hegseth getting off a plane where he's asked about the Signal leak.
Go for it.
Exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly.
Why were those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's it.
Tom, thoughts?
Well, I think, number one, it appears that everybody's pointing to Mike Waltz, and that Mike Waltz apparently sent a text out, and it included a journalist. And the journalists are doing what they're doing. They don't go through back channels to say, hey, is this secret? Should we protect the United States? Should we protect what's going on? That's not what the journalist does. The journalist does, hey, let's attack the administration. And there is a newsworthy item. If somebody kind of blew it and included a journalist on here, that's not good. But let's face it, it was a Signal communication. It wasn't like 22 megabytes of documents. And I guess the Houthis didn't get it in time to duck, so because the attack happened, and by most accounts that we're hearing, it was fairly effective on its targets. But it is, that's a careless thing. And I don't think there's a person out there that's not sent a business email where you go to type a name in Outlook and it finishes the name for you. And
no one's ever done that here.
No, never. And it's like the wrong Mike. Mike Jones, Mike Jeffries instead of Mike Jones.
Like Mike Jones. Mike Jones with the Porsche, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the Mike Jones?
No, you know what I mean. You
Mike Lowry. I'm sorry.
Mike Lowry.
Exactly.
A lot of pop culture references.
I think
Mike Jones. I want to know you can't clone.
That's kind of careless. But Mike Waltz is a good man. He's a strong guy. He's a right guy to have.
Can I
in the
read
seat.
you something that may upset you a little bit? Because this story, Daily Mail, says National Security Advisor Mike Waltz firing after inviting the Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg to a Signal chat. Okay, Houthis PC small group. Discussing Yemen strikes with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and J.D. Vance, a White House insider told Politico, everyone in the White House can agree on one thing. Mike Waltz is an effing idiot. Okay, this is what Politico, this is the story.
Well, this is also Daily Mail, and there's no name on that.
I totally get it. So I'm just reading this to you on what's being said. While a senior official said half of them saying he's never going to survive or shouldn't, noting it was reckless not to check who was on the threat, it was reckless to having a conversation on Signal, et cetera, et cetera. And then at the same time, there's another one from Daily Mail that comes out saying J.D. Vance says, team, I'm out of the day doing economic events in Michigan, but I think we are making a terrible mistake. We're making a mistake to a Trump team, including National Security Mike Waltz. And then it continues, he warned, there's real risk that the public doesn't understand this or why it is necessary. I'm not sure the president is aware how inconsistent this is with the message on Europe right now, et cetera, et cetera. And Vance expressed his reluctance but compliant, saying, I'm willing to support the consensus of the team and keep these concerns to myself, but there's strong argument for delaying this for a month, doing this messaging, work on why this matters, seeing where the economy is, et cetera, et cetera. And then Hegseth urged action, replying, we are prepared to execute, and if I have a final go or no vote, I believe we should. Mike Waltz noted, per the president's request, we are working with DOD and state of to determine how to compile the costs associated and levy them on Europeans. All right, so that's what Daily Mail is saying, what happened here.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So if somebody on your staff was to say, hey, Pat, I'm not sure about this. I've got a little bit different point of view here, but whatever you decide, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Do you want that or do you want silence?
No, I love that. That was a point. It's so funny you're saying this. You see, a businessman would think that way. I love that. I actually love the fact that there's an exchange. I love the fact there's like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's very normal for us. Nothing about the threat I'm reading says to me that this shows to me that they're willing to have discourse, debate, exchange.
So maybe it was on. Because think about it, devil's advocate. Maybe it was on purpose. It doesn't make sense. Why is Mike Waltz?
Doesn't sound like they work for a dictator.
Weird. And that's what me and Jake were talking about. Maybe that was the whole ploy, is to have something like this leak. By the way, why is Mike Waltz messaging anybody from the Atlantic? Why is he even in the Goldberg guy? Why is he even in your chat? And why would you add him in there? There's no other Goldberg whatever that's in the White House that would be involved in this situation anyway. So maybe it was a way to show, like, hey, listen, look what we're doing behind closed doors. Yeah, we messed up, and it could be maybe they want to get rid. What's this guy's name, Tom? The Mike Waltz.
Yeah.
It looks to me like if you wanted to fire somebody, guess what's a good way to get his ass fired? Have something like this happen and then leak it.
It was the wrong guy to be aiming at. I think this guy's really capable. He was an early, confirmation, and he's
Very
really
quick.
strong in position. Gorka's on his team. So, yeah, that's what I think there. The other thing is, it's not unusual. How many media people do you have your phone? I have in my phone.
Yeah, true. But I mean, in a
by the way,
signal like this, though, this is serious.
That's bad. Well, but there's also another angle to it. If I'm a cabinet member, I only want to communicate with the media on a secure channel. I don't want to risk that it gets sniffed on a Gmail or anything like that.
Let's see what our foreign affairs expert has to say. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I was actually also on that text chat, and I saw this coming a mile away. So, one of your major words that you're using these days is signal over noise, right? This happened on Signal, ironically. To me, this is a lot of noise. The signal is, we know who the enemy is. We're going after the Houthis, part of the Iran proxies out there. And this was an accident by apparently a capable guy. And he screwed up. Let's call a spade here. If this were the Biden administration and they accidentally texted Fox News, you don't think the right would be having a field day with the morons in the DEI woke administration. You guys can't even do this. The reality is what Trump said is correct. Well, we carried out the attack. We know who the enemy is. These Islamic extremists, Houthis, that are basically, there's been a war in Yemen for over a decade, proxy war between Iran-backed Houthis and Saudi-backed Yemen government. And we know who at least we're solving for. But you know what's funny? Another one of your words this year, Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, is speed. So you wrote in your book, here's a little preview to the, if you're going to buy your next 5 moves, you said, when you trust someone, you can go faster. Speed. So this is going to be a roadblock in the administration. I don't think anybody should be fired over this. But when you go fast, things are going to break.
Yep.
So this was a break in the administration. It's so funny. There's a comedian out there, this guy, Ralph Barbosa. Have you seen this guy? Hilarious.
Great basketball player for the Suns.
That's
Great.
That's Leandro Barbosa de Brasil. So this guy's out there just killing
funny.
it. This guy's killing it.
Yeah, he's
him
got
and
the
Marcelo,
Yogi Berra
I think,
sense of humor.
He's really funny. He goes, typically Trump, he came in and this guy is like doing like 100 different things in like the first 100 days. It's crazy. You know, people say, you got a list of things to do. They don't actually do them. You say you got to go home, you got to do laundry, you got to do dishes. Well, maybe you'll watch Netflix. He goes, Trump didn't watch Netflix or nothing. He just went for it. So Trump is just basically fulfilling so many things in his first 100 days.
Yeah.
Things are going to break.
I want to show a couple things.
When you go that fast.
So when it comes down to Atlantic, Rob, I got a couple things I want people to know about the Atlantic. The owner of the Atlantic is Steve Jobs' widow. I think it's Laura Powell Jobs.
Wait, widow? She's dead?
Yeah. No, he's dead, Vinny. Steve Jobs died.
My bad. I was like,
if I said it correctly.
My brain had a...
So she buys the Atlantic, okay? And in an interview, she's being asked, and I'm going to show you an article that The Atlantic wrote in a minute, but Rob, can you pull up the clip of what she said in an interview of why they bought it? This is Kamala Harris sitting next to her, and then watch when she gets asked about the New York Times at the end. Can you see when this was, Rob? Can you go back to the date? This is a while back. This is 2024. This is 2 weeks before election. This is when they're thinking Kamala's going to win. Oh. Okay, most people haven't seen this, Rob. Go back and play this clip, please. So watch this, folks. This is the owner of the Atlantic. Go for it.
It was pretty obvious to me that we could build, we build out in a very cross-disciplinary way our work in capital investing and policy and philanthropy, and we could do this work forever and ever, and we could have the narrative overtaken by someone who has a lot of power, who's completely contrary to us, and we could never get to the place where we think we're part of a more just and equal society. And so it was obvious that if we could be part of the creation of cultural narrative, that would enhance and amplify all the work that we're doing.
Which is Hillary Clinton talked about today, is telling the story, getting the content out there.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at Kamala.
So these are early days for us, but that's the idea behind it. We want to inspire the kind of stories that we'd like to see told.
Do you ever see you buying something bigger, like the New York Times, for example?
Are they for sale?
Is it for sale?
It could be for you.
Bingo. So controlling the narrative. So now, let me show you one thing that's a little bit strange. Here's a story they wrote 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I think in 2021. Rob, if you want to pull up this picture, the one I sent you, you know which one I'm talking about? Did you get it or no?
I only have the video.
Okay, so when you see this, folks, you tell me what kind of narrative she wants to control, okay? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just speculation, but this is what happens. This is a woman that gave away, pledged to give $3.5 billion to a combat climate change over the next decade. This is to Waverly Street Foundation. Okay, she's worth around $14 billion. She's given away billions of dollars to different folks, okay, different donations. But watch this one here. The Atlantic, here's a story to the right. This is an article called The Great Fake Child Sex Trafficking Epidemic. Rob, can you do me a favor? Exit that real quick and go search that title to make sure that is not, because I did that this morning, just to make sure the great, fake, yeah, exactly, child trafficking. Let's see what comes up, okay? So is there such a story? Yes. Bingo. Oh. Click on it. So they did write that, okay?
Weird.
So the great fake child sex trafficking epidemic. All right, so that's from 4 years ago. And then go back to that picture. And who was she seen sitting next to by...
Ghislaine Maxwell. The
cozying up next to Ghislaine Maxwell.
Sex trafficking.
So look, the point is, when you look at a paper and you wonder, are they really winning? Are they really advancing? Are they really pushing an agenda? Or are people really done with this? So this is the credibility of a paper like The Atlantic. But the narrative of being controlled is happening by buying magazines like this and getting everybody to realize this child sex trafficking stuff is just fake. Yeah. That doesn't happen. Yeah. We don't have hundreds of thousands of missing children every year. That movie, Sound of Freedom, was just a movie, Vinny.
That island with that Epstein guy, they just love giving massages.
They play Gin Rami.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a QAnon conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
they
that
tried to
didn't
label
exist.
the movie.
Freaking demons.
But anyway, so they just got to make sure they got to be a little bit more like, if that happened on our team, we would have a very serious meeting and it would be like, guys, you can only make this mistake one time. You can't do it second time. You do it second time, you're out. We can't do nothing about this here. You cannot be leaking information at this level to others, and make sure when you're sending a group, my job is to check who else is in this group. Your job is to check who you're adding in the group. Yeah. And make sure the names are the right names. So we're a little bit more intentional about it.
You know how many group texts we're
in?
Yeah,
you put me one in this week. Like we're trying to see who's in it. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, of course.
WhatsApp, yeah.
But you always have to give a title for the group.
Yeah.
You ever send,
we have so many
you ever
groups.
send the wrong text and
this
you
guy
immediately
sends me the wrong pictures. I'm like, listen, stop texting me all these weird
Are you
pictures
serious?
with girls. Yeah, it's like,
dude.
But anyways, let's.
I'm dating a girl named
digress.
Patricia.
You gotta get your group
so-
straight. You gotta be careful, Scott. My friends, Miami's herpes cure. All the
Got
groups
it.
that
You do
got
not
on there.
want to see
All right, let me
the
go to
text
the
that
next
Tom
story.
sends me.
Okay, Trump tariff response. Rolls-Royce planning to shift production to U.S. to avoid Trump tariffs. Report. Okay, so let's see what's going on here, guys. I got three handful of charts I want to show you with this. That
I love
is,
charts.
let me tell you, these charts that Brandon found. I have to show you this, and credit goes to him finding these charts, but they're insane. All right, let's read this. British engineering firm Rolls-Royce is planning to boost U.S. production to dodge President Donald Trump's tariffs, per London's Daily Telegraph. A source told the paper, if you are making something in countries like China, then you'll be looking at whether you can do it in the U.S. instead. The company, known for aerospace and defense, may shift from China, Canada, Mexico, where it employs around 6,000 workers, and even from the UK and Europe if tariffs hit. A Rolls-Royce spokesperson said, "We have additional capacity with some of our U.S. operations and continuously seek to explore options to ensure that our global internal supply chain is optimized for delivery to customers in the U.S. The U.S. is vital for Rolls-Royce, making up a third of its global sales, with key clients like U.S. Department of Defense, Boeing, Lockheed Martin. Last year, it earned, $7 billion in North America versus $3.36 billion in UK and $8.4 billion in Europe. You got to realize, most people, when we think about Rolls-Royce, what do we think about? Cars.
Of course.
But that's what they're famous for making.
Oh, wow. That's the number one thing?
The engines they make on planes, they'll say, we have a Rolls-Royce engine on a plane.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
That's
but we
sick.
think about the cars.
Engines for warplanes.
Yeah,
These aren't just
Tom,
engines.
There's
These
a
are-
couple other stories, but I'll just turn it over to you. Tom, your thoughts on this here.
Well, first of all, this is a sign that the tariffs are working.
Bingo.
So we're trying to get it balanced. And Rolls-Royce says, I'll tell you what, I ship a lot of engines to the Department of Defense, and they ship key clients like Boeing and Lockheed. Oh, those are engines going to our defense contractors. And Lockheed Martin, don't forget Martin. And so tariffs are working. And what's also interesting related to this is, if you take a look, there's also a Wall Street Journal report. Now, this was Breitbart, and then there was an FT story. Then there was a Wall Street Journal story. So everybody's saying the same things, and no one wants to say the simple headline: tariffs are working. Now, Wall Street Journal being very negative. The biggest auto losers in Trump's trade war so far, luxury brands. And they go on to say that the BMW 3 Series, blah, 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 blah. And they put all these stats out of poor BMW. And then, Audi's Q5 SUV, poor Audi. Wait a minute. What German car maker is left out of that list? We got BMW. We got Audi. Where's Mercedes? I'll tell you where Mercedes is. You know where Mercedes is? They're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where they invested in the U.S. years ago, and they build the GLE, the GLS, GLE, and all of their electric vehicles, the EQS and EQE. It's their number one factory in the world outside of the core factory they have in Germany. And 60% of what they make in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, is exported around the world with 16,000 American jobs. So guess what? The tariffs are working. And somebody like Mercedes is like, well, I've been here forever. This really doesn't bother me because I've been employing American workers and I'm exporting Mercedes around the world. And so what Rolls-Royce is doing is great, and that's the proper response to say, look, our customers over in the U.S., why don't we make our stuff there? And everything else. The tariffs are working, and look at the jobs that are coming, and look at how the products are reacting. And by the way, guess what? If that BMW 3 Series is $10,000 more expensive, guess what? Mercedes is happy to sell you a C.
Oh, wow. And just because you mentioned Boeing package, I know obviously you guys you have your thoughts. Trump just awarded Boeing, because you talked about it, to develop U.S. Air Force's next generation fighter jet, the F-47, which will replace the F-22 Raptor. The deal is $20 billion. It just happened.
That plane is a beast.
That thing is ridiculous. Look at that thing. Like, damn.
It will own the skies.
Okay, so let me show you something here, which is something for everybody to think about when it comes down to this. Rob, I'm going to text this to you if you can please pull up this file. Oh, you have it already?
Yes.
Okay, can you go all the way to the top? Go all the way to the top, the main chart. So check this out. This is China's, close it up, Rob. Don't show the bottom one, just show the top one. Yeah, that one right there. Watch this. This is manufacturing, global manufacturing 2000. Look where we were at. 25% of global manufacturing came through us. Look who was second. You got the bottom left, MVA, 21%. Then you have UMC. Is that UMC or UMIC? Okay. Then you got Japan, 11%, Germany, 8%. And then you have China at what percent? 6%.
Yeah.
What happens in 2001? China gets welcomed to join the World Trade Organization, okay? And that's December 11 of 01. So here we go. Manufacturing. Now we're going to go to China. No problem. Go to the next chart, Rob. Then look what happens.
Jeez.
2030. 45% of manufacturing goes to them. Look where we are. 11%. Can you go back up and see where we were and they were? We were at 25%. This is jobs in the U.S. China was 6%. China goes to 45%. We dropped to 11%. 11% is where it goes to. Now, this is what's very important about this. By the way, Japan drops to 5%. I think they were at 11% if you go a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Japan was at 11%. They dropped to 5%. China takes everyone's lunch. Can you go back to the top?
Germany,
so here's what they
Germany
did.
Lost half too.
They took us. They took Japan. They took Germany. They took they're at 45%. Now, who paid a price for this? Go a little bit lower by states. Michigan. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Watch this. This is Michigan. Look at 2001 when we joined the World Trade Organization. What happens to manufacturing jobs in Michigan? Boom. Drops. How bad? Not a slight drop. Look where it was at in the thousands on the left, 80,000 persons on the left. It drops to what? Less than 20,000 just 7 years later when you see that 2008, 2009. Go to the next state. Go to the next state. Ohio, look at 2001. Drops. Go to the next state, Rob. You got Pennsylvania, steel, 2001. Look where they're at. Look at the immediate drop-off of what they have and where they're at today. Go to the next state. These are all jobs that Indiana. Look at how steep this one is. Jeez. Indiana loses their job. Boom, crashes all the way down. Go to the next one, Rob. Illinois. Here's Illinois for you from 2001. Drops. Clinton started this initiative early on, and then it took him 10 or 15 years to finally get it finalized. 10 years to get it finalized, I want to say something like that. 8 years to get it finalized. You got Carolina. Go to the next one, Carolina. Look at this one here. Keep going next, Rob. Go to the next one. South Carolina. Look at this one. How obvious and evident is it? And I'll tell you why. Go to Wisconsin. These are all people that had jobs. Go to New York. These are all people that had jobs. California. Do you know what happened when that took place? Look at California's, by the way, Vinny. Look at California's drop. When we allowed China to join the World Trade Organization. So now the question becomes what? The question is what? Why did this happen? You know why? You know what labor was in China at that time per hour? Do you know what it was?
Nothing.
50 cents per hour.
Yeah. Slave labor.
Of course.
Slaves.
50 cents per hour. So allowing China to join the World Trade Organization, who did it help?
China.
No. Of course, China. But who else did it help?
It also helped us because we get way cheaper goods.
Who did it help in America, though?
Walmart.
It helped the rich because the rich got richer. It allowed the rich to say, why am I hiring people in America? Let me send these jobs off to what?
Overseas.
To China, overseas, somewhere else, 50 cents. And do you know for the first time in the last 2 years, a minimum wage for low-wage employees is now lower in Mexico than it was in China by 50 cents. By 50 cents it's lower. So that's why China's building their car manufacturing in Mexico called the Hafusan, right? But if you look at China, they're paying 50 cents per labor. Rich gets richer. Poor gets poorer. These jobs leave America. And you know what these tariffs are now doing? You know what these tariffs are now doing? These tariffs are now forcing people to bring those jobs back to America.
Good.
One by one. We made China a behemoth, allowing them to join the World Trade Organization, knowing companies were hiring slave labor for 50, 70 cents an hour, while those jobs are 10, 15, 20 bucks an hour in America. That's how all these jobs were lost. So for the people that are bitching and whining about tariffs, be patient. You want those jobs coming back. The rich got richer, trust me. I'm a beneficiary of it. The rich got richer in a very big way. What happened to our middle class since 2001? Well, what was the average median income in 2001? How different is it compared to today? Can you go and look it up, Rob? Median income in 2001. What was the median income in 2001? Median income 2001, 42,000. Go look at what it is today. So that's 42,000 24 years ago. Just put 2025. What is it now? 25 years later, it's not even doubled. It's gone up 80%. Okay, go to 2021 and type in who was the richest man in 2001. Who was the richest man in 2001? What was it? How much billion?
Bill Gates.
58 billion?
Wow.
Who's the richest man today, Rob?
Still Elon, unless...
What is the number?
Unless they burnt more Teslas down.
350 billion dollars. So the wealth 7x'd, but the median income only went up 80%. Why? It's cheaper labor in China. Well, it's basic mathematics. So this whole conversation with tariffs, when people start panicking and trying to use fear porn and all this other stuff, and then you bring it down and you realize what he's doing is causing companies to say, I'm going to bring those jobs to America, like this UAE saying $1.4 trillion investment in the States. Like, you know, you're hearing Saudi, $600 billion. Like like Hyundai, like Rolls-Royce, like all these guys saying we're going to bring it here. They're helping Americans, and every American should be happy about it. That includes Democrats, but unfortunately, they want to see a failed administration, and it's just working.
No wonder why. I mean, like when you break it down like this much detail, no wonder why China hates and hated Trump so much that in 2020, I believe that they unleashed COVID because they wanted to keep that guy out of the office because he's doing exactly what the hell you're talking about right now, putting America first. That's it. That's like it's not. And by the way, and they're so powerful. Besides building, buying up all the land near our military bases and flying balloons everywhere, you still can't say definitively China released COVID. You still can't say it.
Don't say it.
Yeah, no, it's unbelievable.
It was a bat.
But think about it. When it comes to that, when it comes to that,
bat.
when it comes to this serious amount of money and power, now it makes complete sense, Tom. Don't you think?
You know what's really interesting to me on all this? I'm not ready to go there and say that China,
I'm there.
That China intentionally released the virus and it wasn't just like a boondoggle and then denied and everything. I'm not quite there that it was intentional trying to unseat Trump. But I'll tell you what's very interesting. Hyundai, and you saw it yesterday, announced as part of this, he said, we had a conversation that started in 2019 with Trump. And we wanted to bring a steel plant to Louisiana and then use the steel there to make cars and put some Hyundai auto factories here. In 2019, it didn't happen. And it's 2025. Chairman Yi-Sun Chung has come back to President Trump. So what happened between 2019 and 2025?
COVID.
Yeah.
No, think about also who was president.
Right.
There was a deal on the table from Hyundai that says, I'll make jobs for you and I'll put a steel factory there.
What's this here, Rob?
And I'll use the steel to make my cars.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is CNBC this morning, 3:04 a.m. They reported on the Hyundai deal, the $20 billion investment into the United States.
Go for it.
South Korean auto giant Hyundai will announce a $20 billion investment in the United States when its chairman visits the White House today. Sources say that pledge includes $5 billion set for a steel plant in Louisiana with plans to hire 1,500 employees and produce next-generation steel for Hyundai and Kia cars. That move comes after similar investment commitments from SoftBank and chipmaker Taiwan Semiconductor earlier this year.
Reagan said about tariffs years ago. Have you seen that clip?
No.
Have you seen the Ronald Reagan clip on tariffs?
What did he say?
Rob, if you can find this, there's a clip of Ronald Reagan on tariffs. And let me see where this is. Humberto, guys in the back, if you know, I just watched this video yesterday. That's not the one. Let me see. Anyways, they'll send it to you. Let me see how it explains it. No, it's a different one that he has. But look, here's the reality of it. If the jobs are being forced to come back to the States, their jobs are being forced to come back to the States.
Good.
And Americans should want that. And America helped China become a behemoth after the deal. And the data now proves it. And those jobs were taken from many states that a lot of people relied on, and that destroyed a lot of people's lives. It just did. Made the rich richer, but it hurt a lot of people's lives. Adam, go for it.
I think Trump is doing what he should be doing. I'm adamant that I think he needs to do a better job marketing what he's doing, because people are very confused. Markets have been confused, with the one word we hear coming out of Wall Street and the big banks is clarity. Let's just get clear on this. There's a lot of confusion in the marketplace. So he's very good at marketing. He's very good at slogans. Lock her up, drain the swamp, build the wall. Come up with a slogan to summarize why you're doing this. Because, there's a term called inside baseball. Mm-hmm. You ever heard that term?
Of course.
Pat, you might have, been familiar with a thing or two since you're part of the Yankees. Inside baseball is like, dude, you're being a little too technical. Tom, you might have heard this before. So some people need sort of a bigger, grandiose, sort of easier to digest, simple, effective slogan. So here's a couple suggestions for Trump to maybe roll out what you're doing with tariffs. Let me know what you guys think. You ready? So make America great again, right? So here we go. Fair trade now. Not bad. Could be a thing. Stop trade cheaters. Came up with that. 3 words. Here we go.
Is this actually serious?
Boost American businesses.
Okay.
All right. Makes sense. Strength through trade. Shout out to Ronald Reagan right here.
Ronnie.
Peace through strength. Balanced trade deficits. I don't know, guys. Give your suggestions, but Trump needs to do a better job marketing and have a better slogan.
I don't know if you're getting a job anytime soon.
I don't think Trump.
Listen,
maybe you're going to be the marketing guy.
I don't think so, but there have been, you read the headlines from Wall Street and you get one story, and they like to spin it. We've been talking about that. But below the headlines, you find out, guess what? The markets are nervous during the reaction phase, but things are happening for the good. That's the message. The markets are nervous and they're bouncing around because they're on sentiment. Oh, is tomorrow going to rain or not going to rain? I don't know. And so the markets bounce up and down because what's happening on the markets? Traders, speculators, and they're all trying to make a buck. And they think so when they hear comments that they don't know how to process, they push markets into motion by making big trades, puts, and that's what's going on. But you just hang tight because good things are happening. And every day you can take a look at the people that are reacting to the tariffs, and they're doing the things that exactly what is good long-term.
All right, let's go to the next story here. RFK calls to ban one of Big Pharma's most powerful tool, rattle drug makers, despite uncertain political prospects. By the way, if they pull this off, we had this conversation. I had a conversation with him on this, and I had the conversation with Vivek on this. So Bobby Kennedy, nominated by Trump as HHS, has alarmed drug makers with his push to ban direct-to-consumer pharmaceutical advertising, saying on October 31st in Glendale, Arizona, one of the things I'm going to advise Trump to do in order to correct the chronic disease epidemic is to ban pharmaceutical advertising on TV. He noted there's only 2 countries in the world, us and New Zealand, and we have the highest disease rate, and we buy more drugs, and they're more expensive than anywhere in the world. If confirmed, Kennedy could influence the FDA and HHS, which regulate the ads. Kennedy stands backed by allies like Elon Musk, who wrote on X on November 19th, on advertising on pharma, and Dr. Baccaria, Trump's pick for National Institutes of Health, who said on X May 30th, 2023, because of DTC ad, drug companies like Pfizer hold a vice grip on the editorial policies and for conventional American media, suggest media buys from ad revenue. Adam.
PBD, I got to give credit to where credit's due. You called this a long time ago. So in that same podcast, correct me if I'm wrong, we were in Boca. It was 2021. We were in the studio. It was our friend Zuby was in the house. Mm-hmm. We were talking about Saudi. We were talking about the difference between New York City and Saudi. And in that exact same conversation, shout out to you, Zuby, we talked about what countries allow advertising on TV. Very obscure stat. Why would you even know this? Advertising for Big Pharma. It was New Zealand. Shout out to our friend Chad. And number 2, United States of America. And then you went in on this, talking about Big Pharma, and you basically said there's 3 things that are keeping the mainstream media alive still. And number 1 is live sports. Number 2 is literally boomers and senior citizens still watching the mainstream media news. And then number 3, which you're very much talking against, is Big Pharma. And then what percentage of their ad revenue comes from Big Pharma? I want to say like 75%. Something like that.
It's a big percentage.
It's a big number. And here's Bobby Kennedy coming in, shutting it down.
Rob, what clip was that you had?
There's a few. I found the original clip. This is where RFK made the announcement back in October. And then there's also the clip of you that's going viral talking about.
There you go.
Can I hear that, Pat?
So I'm talking about PBD.
Jenko. This was a while ago. George Jenko.
Yeah. From the Cigar Lounge.
Go for it. So you know who the third one is that's keeping cable in business?
Pharma.
Do you know what percentage of every dollar on sponsorship and ads cable TV gets from pharma? What percentage is from pharma? Percentage. For every dollar. Percentage. So think about movie commercials, car commercials, clothing commercials, all these different companies that do commercials. So many industries.
Something
that do
ridiculous like 70%.
It's 75%.
Okay, ding,
You're
ding,
right.
ding.
75%. So check this out. Watch how crazy this is. Okay.
How is that even legal to do that?
Can you, while I'm doing this, just on your phone, Google what percentage of pharma cable advertisement? It's going to come up saying 75%. Now watch this. 75%, right? Stay with me here. So now we have to answer the question, is it moral to advertise getting more people taking drugs? Okay. What's wrong with that? It's their choice. They got to do it. No problem. So then why is it out of nearly 200 countries in the world, only 2 of them allow pharmaceutical companies to advertise on TV? Yeah, you can. And the other one,
weird.
don't.
That's a good-looking, smart guy right there, Pat. I don't know.
Yeah, let me tell you.
By the way, is that Jenko's girl?
Yeah, wife.
Good for him, buddy.
Let me tell you something about what this means. So let's process this. Imagine you're CNN. Imagine you're Fox. Mm-hmm. Now, imagine you're MSNBC. Imagine you're CBS. Every one of these guys is taking money from pharma, just so you know that. Mm-hmm. Every one of them. 75 years old, back problems, knee problem, hip problems, all this, whatever it is, they're taking the money, right? If that number is 75%, Vinny,
yeah.
If a talent at MSNBC or CNN is making $6 million, 75% of revenue goes away. What is a 75% reduction to a $6 million salary? What do you go to?
4 off?
You're now officially at $1.5 million.
Jeez.
So if you're paying somebody $6 million at CNN, now it's $1.5 million. Do you know how different life is at $6 million versus $1.5? It's a very different life. Living in New York, half of it is gone already for taxes.
Yeah.
You got to give 10% of it to your manager that negotiated that deal. Okay, so $1.5 million, $150 goes to him. So then you're left with whatever, and then you're left with $6. Now you're no longer in New York able to live on Long Island or whatever they had. Lifestyle changes very quickly. If he approves this, half of mainstream media companies are for sale.
Wow.
Half of them are for sale. And that aggregator is going to come in and pick them up and create a holding company, whatever you want to call it, a roll-up where all these companies are going to be together. That's what will happen, because if they don't know how to make money, not taking money from, you know what it's like? It's like in sales. When Tom and I one time were in a Vistage meeting, we're talking 15 years ago, 16 years ago. One of the guys in a Vistage meeting, I won't say his name, but it was a Middle Eastern guy. I think you helped him out for about a year and a half as well. In a meeting, he says, my revenue was $10 million. Great. And then he says, guy named John asks, what's your biggest revenue? Is it from one client? He says, yeah, one of my clients brings $7 million of that $10 million. John says, what are you going to do if you lose that one client? And you see the guy's look on his face. He's a little bit like,
wait a minute.
Why'd you ask me a question like that? It's a tough question to ask. You know what happens?
They lose the guy.
What happens if you lose that guy?
It's your finito.
You go from 10 million to what now? 3 million.
3 million.
So there's a big business there, big difference in that business there. If Big Pharma is out,
Rachel Maddow loses money.
Well, Rachel Maddow's holding MSNBC, in my opinion, hostage because she's got something on them. I don't know what it is, but if that happens, it's disruption at the highest level. Tom, your thoughts?
All the small channels. So what do we know about CNN and MSNBC today? They're barely hanging on. They're not getting viewership. And what do we also know is happening with over-the-top and cable rates? They're losing cable rates. They're losing money from, not losing money, but the money they used to get from DirecTV is going down. The money they used to get from the cable side is going down because the subscribers are going down. If now they're already today, with the viewership going down, they can't charge as much for ads from pharmaceutical companies and among them, and they're already out there trimming. I mean, CNN went and cut everybody. Everybody was cut 50% at least, except Anderson Cooper. And there you go. The small, like MSNBC, I don't think it's a viable channel anymore. I think it's gone. I don't think it's for sale. I think that it's just gone. There's nothing to do. They say, well, look, now we got viewership here. We can only get this much ad dollars. So we have to cancel these contracts. What do you have left? What do you have left? You don't have a viable business left. And that's it.
You know what's screwing things up? Yesterday we were at the cigar lounge last night. Guess what you turn on to watch cable nowadays? You'll turn on Hulu.
Yeah.
You'll turn on YouTube. You'll turn on it's a
X. I'll go to X.
and watch but something. It's a very, very different world we're living in. But an aggregator is going to buy up a lot of them. They're already talking about them. But they're going to buy up a lot of them. You had a couple of your friends that came here that are aggregators. They're going to be picking people up left and right and then building a super media company.
Well, can I give maybe a different perspective? Yeah. So, anytime that there's a massive change in the market, we think like, oh my God, certain industry is dead. Oh my God, they're never going to recover. We've heard this with AI. And so I'm just thinking, if a big percentage of pharma goes bye-bye, meaning they can't advertise on TV, they're going to go someplace else. Where are they going to advertise? Maybe they're going radio. Maybe they're going to the internet. Maybe they're going print. Like, they have a ton of ad dollars to spend on marketing. So I don't think that pharmaceuticals are going to necessarily just dissipate and fold. So what is mainstream media? What is the cable going to do? They're going to go to whoever number 2, number 3, number 4 advertisers are and say, hey, look, we got good deal for you. We got good deal for you. And they're going to cut a deal with some of these, whether it's auto industry type sector, whether it's any senior product that's out there, diapers, who knows? But I think they're going to, as much as we're sort of rooting for the death nail in the mainstream media, whether it's Fox, whether it's CNN, whether it's MSNBC, they're going to take alternative measures to sort of bring in advertisers to still advertise on TV. They're not just going to fold. They're going to fight.
You think MSNBC and CNN, all these people are going to? I don't think.
I think we're going to see. They're not just going to go out without a fight. No, they're going to go to the rest of their advertisers and say, like, who are the biggest advertisers on mainstream media? Pharmaceuticals,
75%,
automotive,
cars,
retail, consumer packaging, apparently insurance, technology. So you're going to see other. Here you go. Progressive, Carvana, T-Mobile.
That's old though. It's 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, but the point is, all these companies are going to have more opportunities because, Rob, you know this because you worked in radio.
It's only going to be one thing.
There's only going to be what?
It's only going to be one shift. Look, newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what happened to newspapers? The physical newspaper.
They went online. They went digital.
If CNN, MSNBC, these guys don't know how to go digital, it's over. It's over. They're going to be discounted. They're going to have to find, like Joy Reid right now, she's doing a what? She's doing a podcast. She does stuff with Don Lemon. You think they're getting paid the same kind of money as they did before?
Nowhere
No,
near.
They better.
Joy
be,
Reid
they,
is now working with Don Lemon?
No, they did a
gotcha.
podcast together, which was underwhelming. But they did a podcast together. What's the point, though? They have to find a way to make money. You think she's going to be able to financially make the same amount of money doing her, podcast stuff personally?
Nowhere near it.
That's
She has
the
to
point.
build it. Nobody wants to hear
And
her.
the market is going to filter out a lot of people.
For sure.
It's going to do a lot of people. Let's go to the next one here. U.S. gold card scheme, a hit. Trump's top official says, I think it's Lutnick, says 1,000 sold in a day. And that was a $5 million gold card, guys. Watch this here. Go for it, Rob.
Speaking of potentially great ideas, can you tell us about the Trump card?
Sure. So,
whose idea was that? And how did that come about?
John Paulson had a call with Donald Trump and was talking to Donald Trump and was kicking around the idea of we should sell, right? Why do we give away visas? We should sell them. And they're talking about it. Donald Trump calls me, gets me on the phone, right? We all talk about it, right? And then we go from there. And then my job is to figure out, like I always figure out, how to do it. What's the path?
Do you have
Let's
a
go
path?
figure it out. Of course. About 2 weeks from today, it goes out. Okay? Elon's building me the software right now,
Yeah.
right? And then out it goes. And by the way, yesterday I sold 1,000.
Oh, you did? I got a poly market I created on how many are you guys going to sell this year. So
Cool.
Yeah, curious to see how many.
That's fantastic.
Yesterday,
1,000
I
at
sold
5,000.
1,000
5
at $5 million. That's $5 billion.
Jeez.
In one day. Tom, thoughts?
Well, I think that everybody's saying, "Oh, you're out there just selling out the USA." Wait. Let's go back to the facts. There are a ton of countries that have been selling you a second citizenship for money. It's been going on forever.
That's right.
And you can go get it. You can get a second citizenship for Belize, for Costa Rica, and for a lot of weird small countries all around the globe. And it costs you money. And then Trump says, wait a minute. You know what Trump thinks of the United States? Park Place. We are Boardwalk and Park Place. So why don't we make a gold visa and charge $5 million for it and see how many people in the rest of the world want to come here? And by the way, and before they even come here, they give $5 million to our government.
I love it.
By the way, do you know how long it would take to, at the long-term capital gains rate, they would have to earn as citizens to get $5 billion to the IRS?
How much?
It's 20% capital gains. They'd have to make $100 million so they could come back.
Jeez.
You see that?
Yeah.
There you go. And so I think this is great. And as long as you're doing background checks and double checking that who is actually buying this, you're letting people buy it here the same way people have been buying around the world.
Was there a limit? Is there a limit of how much they're saying that they're going to sell? I mean, you can't just say it's open for everybody.
Well, I mean, even if you sell 100,000, 100,000 is not a lot. 100,000 at $5 billion
is what?
I think it's half a trillion dollars. So if 1,000 is $5 billion, 10,000 is $50 billion, 100,000 is 500. They would have to sell $1 million at $5 million to get $5 trillion, which they're not going to get $2 million. But if they get to even this basic membership of $1,000, obviously the background check stuff you got to go through. Our cigar lounge. Couple things about the cigar lounge. Guess what? Everybody goes through a background check, and nobody can take their cell phones inside.
Wow,
everybody.
Fantastic.
So if you go there and you see another person who's a member, background check, no cell phones. No one's going in our cigar lounge and going like this.
Yeah.
Hey,
good.
No one's doing that. You can't do that. There is no none
photography
of that. Boardroom
or
cigar lounge. Yeah, I mean, right. Everybody applies. They submit the application. Somebody calls them. They do an interview. They do the background check. Then they send the payment. And but yeah, I'm assuming they're going to do the same thing with the $5 million. Adam, do you have any thoughts?
How many people do you think around the world can afford $5 million? And what kind of net worth do you need to have in order to pay $5 million?
Well, 1,000
for a
and
gold
counting.
card, right? But no, I got that part. But I want to know, like, how many do you think? Like, what does your net worth need to be to say, all right, here's $5 million? Like, it's not going to be $6 million.
No.
Like, is it $10 million? Is it?
I think it's $100 million.
So
I think if you're
$100 million.
$50 million of liquid cash or investable cash that you have, if you put 10% of it and you know the country is going to be growing, maybe 50 million plus.
So where do you think, like, I actually think this is a good idea, but I don't stop at, hey, great idea, go get them. It's like, all right, what countries are they coming from? What's the vetting process? You know, I'd be very curious. Are they coming from China? Are they coming from Saudi Arabia? Are they coming from Venezuela? Like, where are they coming from? And are these people, like, if you have $100 million, you know what you got? You got options.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to Saint-Tropez. You can go to, you know, Dubai. You can go anywhere you want in the world and buy citizenship. So I'm wondering why the U.S., do they really need this? It's interesting that they're doing this. I think it's a great revenue generator. You know, if you kind of just like juxtapose what Trump said in his first political speech when he came down that escalator with Melania, and he says, Mexico, they're not sending their best. They're drug dealers, they're rapists, and I guess some are very fine people. But now, look who's coming through this country. Like the coming through the border, not exactly the greatest people in the world. What's the group from Venezuela that he's all going against? Tren de Agua. And now he's basically bringing in the arguably the best, the brightest, the richest around the world. I think it's a great idea. I just want to understand who these people are, because think about it. If you're China, you're like, yo, here's a couple $1 billion. Go ahead, go buy U.S. citizenship. Wink, wink. And then go get to work for us. There needs to be a strict vetting process.
Oh yeah, I mean I think
saying.
the background check is absolutely, it's amazing. And by the way, the border, nobody's coming to the border right now. That shit is shut down. Period.
Tom,
to Adam's question there, world census data says there are approximately 3 million people in the world with a $50 million net worth. 50. That's a big number.
It's a lot.
3 million with 50, and they only got 1,000 of them so far. So that means there's plenty of market left for it. And what do they put it at? The EB-5 program is capped at 10,000 per year, with 3,000 reserved for investment in high unemployment areas. Okay,
Nice.
There you go. Let's see what happens with it. All right, let's go to the next story here. Trump demands full-throated apology from Maine governor on transport's flap to settle funding dispute, even as universities back down. I don't know if you remember this clip or not, right? There was a clip where he's asking the Maine governor, and she says, this is not going to fare well for you, Rob. I don't know if you remember this one here.
He was giving a speech.
That's right, and she was to his right.
And like, you better get a new job because you're not going to get reelected. Something like that, right?
It was in a different room. It could have been this one, Rob, where he looks to his right. Is this the one?
And they talk about suing each other, and he says,
this is about men and women's sports. Is that what it was?
Yeah, let me see this.
Yeah.
The NCAA has complied immediately, by the way. That's good. But I understand Maine. Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state.
Good.
I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one.
She said to him, I'll see you in court.
Yeah, there you go. So let me read this to you. So President Trump demands, as I said right here, they go. While the state of Maine has apologized for the governor's strong but totally incorrect statement about men playing in women's sports while at the White House governor's conference, we have not heard from the governor herself, and she is the one that matters in such cases. Therefore, we need a full-throated apology from the governor herself and a statement that she will never make such an awful challenge to the federal government ever again. Before this case can be settled, I'm sure she will be able to do that. Rob, can you read the rest? Because I can't see the rest.
Therefore, we need a full-throated apology from the governor herself and a statement that she will never make such an unlawful challenge to the federal government again before this case can be settled. I'm sure she will be able to do that quite easily. Thank you for your attention to this matter, and in all capitals, make America great again, 3 exclamation points.
That is
DJT.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. So he says, University of Maine System network of 8 public universities caved this week to Trump's order after the administration blocked Department of Agriculture funds and gave a 10-day ultimatum from the Department of Education, risking $250 million yearly. Trump insisted while the state of Maine has apologized, she has to apologize. Okay, so who had thoughts on this one? Tom, I think this is you. Go for it.
I have thoughts. Here's the thought I have. There are 8 public universities in Maine. Vinny, it's time for fun with math.
Okay.
How
Jeez.
much?
Vinny,
how many
get
dollars?
excited, buddy.
How many dollars are being sent to Maine? $250 million.
Okay.
Let's say Maine keeps $10 million just as an administration
All right, so
fee.
240.
240. What's 240 divided by 8?
Shit.
Tom, what the hell are you doing right now?
60.
Seriously?
Come on.
30. It's
Yeah.
easy.
30.
It's 30. So why is the United States federal government sending $30 million per university to the University of Maine if those businesses, it's a business, can't sustain themselves? I don't want the federal government. First of all, this shows that what Trump is doing has teeth. And he's getting states to move off dumb policies and off previous positions. And just like he said there, yeah, you'll see it in court. Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be an easy one. And guess what? It didn't even go to court. It just went to his pen. Okay, 250 out like this. But the greater question for me is like, okay, now the federal government gives the funding back. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought we were shutting down Department of Education, and I'd like to see DOJ take a look at why do 8 universities in Maine need an average of $30 million each to operate? If you can operate, charge tuition and operate. But if you need money from the federal government, are you kidding me? You can't make it without that? I think DOJ, get on it.
You think she will be apologizing?
Do I think she will eventually sign a letter of resolution? Yes, I think she will. Will it be everything that Trump wants? No, because she just won't be able to do that. She'll have like a seizure or something.
And why do
but
they
she's
all,
going to sign. She'll sign something.
And why do they all look like that? Every time you hear somebody that hates Trump and they're Democratic, and like, look, it's like a Hillary Clinton clone. And like, she wanted to play tough, and now she's folded like a freaking lawn chair. And I love it. He's right.
Well, I don't care what she looks like. I'm not going to pick on her looks.
No,
I'm just listening to what comes out of her mouth.
I'm not picking on her
which
looks.
is even uglier than anything you could
No,
imagine.
but what I'm saying, I'm not picking on her looks. What I'm saying is, though, why is it that they all have that look and that face and that bitterness and that anger, and it doesn't help? Like, it doesn't help. She backed down. You know what I mean? That's it.
It's like your pictures last night on Piers Morgan.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, can you go to that clip, Rob? That clip was the best because, guys, basic tip about life. Bitterness, misery, envy, all of those qualities, you know what it does? It ages you so flippin' fast. It's not even funny. Start it from the beginning, Rob. Let him. Oh, is it 2 minutes into? Oh, shit. No, it's too long, Rob.
I'll send them.
We get it right. I mean, he gets into it right around here.
When he calls him an idiot, go
Yeah,
from
I know
there.
that guy, Vinny, right there.
Go
He's
little bit.
angry.
Is that it? Go ahead, Rob.
Of pre-Trump and post-Trump. Look at this. This is Rosie O'Donnell before Trump. Right? Nice. Good. Look what happens, Piers, with Trump derangement syndrome. All right? Rachel Maddow. Look at how hot Rachel Maddow was. And then look, Trump derangement syndrome. She looks like Stephen Colbert. And then look, Kathy Griffin, someone that I might have hooked up with if I was drunk. They turned her into Carrot Top. Okay? That's what it does to you people, okay? You guys have lost your freaking mind. Oh, excuse me. I'm not finished. I'm not finished. And Piers, in that interview, she's like, I can't.
That's good.
Vinny, you killed that thing.
Well, the guy tried to talk smack, and I was like, bro, you will never say that in front of my face.
So what happened with you and Kathy Griffin?
Nothing. I said if I was drunk and back in the day, but she looks.
But you don't drink anymore these days.
No, I don't drink, so she doesn't have a chance.
Rachel, she looks good.
Tom, were
these
you going to
days.
say something or no?
No, first of all, I love what you did there. Vinny, I love what you did there because you're pointing something out, because there is something to be pointed out, is that the bitterness and everything aged people. You weren't, there were two of the, okay, you had the Carrot Top joke at the end, but the others was legitimate. This is aging of people that present themselves as bitter and angry and upset.
That's true.
And it's real.
Yeah.
It is so true.
If you think about what they were actually arguing about, I know we're caught up on her and her looks, whatever. They were arguing about whether men should participate in women's sports. And this is, you know, as we talk about, an 80% issue versus a 20%. Trump's just basically taking the 80 being like, there's two genders, that's it. This is what's going on here. You keep your nuts out of the women's locker room. And most of the country agrees. But by the way, not to get too inside baseball here, callback, Maine is a very weird state. So Maine is liberal, but it has like, do you know who the two senators are in Maine?
Lisa Murkowski.
No, that's Alaska, Tom. I'm disappointed that you don't know that. It's Susan Collins.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The other Murkowski.
It's okay, exactly. Who's like a Republican, but she's basically always against Trump. And it has the only independent senator, Angus King, who basically caucuses with the Democrats. I mean,
And
some
used to
call
play lead guitar in AC/DC.
gangster. Did he really? All right, maybe that was a Tom joke. But the point is, Maine, 30% of their constituency, your favorite word, is Democrat. Another 30-something% is Republican. Another 30% is independent. So this is going to come down to what the people of Maine want to see. So something tells me that maybe, just maybe, as much as I agree with Trump on this, the governor kind of knows her constituency better than Trump does. So if he sees her in court, let's see what happens.
I don't think it's going to be in court. I think families are just tired. Explain to those families why their school is losing $250 million because they're sticking up for a dude in a skirt, pole vaulting. Okay, go for that.
Also, Maine and Nebraska also do something during presidential elections. They split their districts. It's not winner take all. And those are things that I know for a fact California and Illinois do not like that. Because there's a big part of Southern Illinois and a big part of Central California, those votes would go away to the other side.
Yeah, let's talk about the whole conversation with Rosie O'Donnell. This is Rosie O'Donnell going full election. I said it correctly this time. Election denier claims Musk stole 2024 for Trump, and apparently Musk runs the internet. But go ahead, go for it, Rob.
What has happened since he's taken office has been terrifying, I think, for the world and definitely for the United States of America.
You know, a lot of people did vote for him.
Yes.
Do you accept their right to do that and their opinion of him?
Well, I respect their right to do that. I question why the first time in American history a president has won every swing state and is also best friends, and his largest donor was a man who owns and runs the internet. So
Really?
I would hope that would be investigated.
The whole internet?
And that we would
Elon
see whether
owns
or
the
not
internet
it was
now?
an anomaly
Damn,
or
good
something
for him.
else that happened on election night in America when Kamala Harris was filling up stadiums with people who supported her. And Donald Trump was not able to do that. So it's curious to me. And as an American and a believer in democracy, I would hope that we would be able to look at all of the reasons why this happened in our country.
Okay, first of all, this is exactly, I forgot which governor, didn't somebody in Congress try to make it where Trump derangement syndrome is an actual thing? And this is, she has one of
There was the Republican in Minnesota who got convicted of something weird. Let's not bring that up. Accused. My bad.
But look,
She's right about one thing.
Don't worry about that guy.
But look at what it's done to her. And I truly believe this. If you're out there and you have this mental disorder, I think you should be able to sue, Tom. Class action lawsuit, some lawyer, some firm should get behind it, and you should be able to sue CNN and MSNBC. Look at what it has done to people like Rosie O'Donnell, and she's not the only one. There are countless. You guys know them out there, okay? She's talking about Trump's abusers. Guess what? She's a Democrat. Bill Clinton, accused of sexual assault and rape, how many times, okay? Joe Biden, sexual assault, all these women coming forward, on camera sniffing freaking girls all the time. His daughter writes in the diary that her father showered with her at inappropriate ages. She's screaming about women's rights, but this is the party that wants men to compete with women, okay? And she's a lesbian. You would think she'd be the one sticking up for all these women, and she's not. And it's ridiculous. And she wants to go to, guess where she is right now? She's in Ireland. Hey, Rosie, have you been paying attention? The free speech is gone. They'll arrest you for stuff that you have on your freaking phone. Crime is skyrocketing. The immigration system is completely overrun. And just FYI, guess who's trying to run the country and be the president? Conor McGregor. So guess what? If he wins, where the hell she's going to go left? And guess what? I am if you leave this country, Pat, this is Vincent Oshana's point of view, you don't get to come back. Your citizenship gets to go somebody that's dying and waiting to come into this country. We don't need losers and people that abandon the country. We want freaking patriots. So good. I'm happy. At least she talked the talk and she walked the walk. Don't bring your ass back here.
She was right about one thing. Harris was filling stadiums, but they were high school lacrosse stadiums.
Yeah. So there's a difference, though.
Women's lacrosse.
Yeah,
By the way,
that.
you know, there's a guy we know that wrote a book called Choose Your Enemies Wisely.
I know him.
In 2015, 2016 was his first time on stage. We all remember that clip with Trump being asked by Megyn Kelly, "You've called women dogs, slobs, pigs," and you see him just kind of like Only Rosie O'Donnel. At that moment, her career officially ended.
If she ever had
and
one.
his career took off.
Yeah.
And then even Megyn Kelly, who, I could tell blood was coming from her eye.
Yeah.
They had beef for a little bit. Now she's pretty much a Trump supporter. But he destroyed Rosie O'Donnell.
Play the clip real quick.
Go ahead.
Mr. Trump,
I love
one of the things people love about you is you speak your mind and you don't use a politician's filter. However, that is not without its downsides, in particular when it comes to women.
This is first
you call
question.
women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs,
watch him like
and
cock
disgusting
back.
animals.
Here we go. Ding, ding, ding.
Your Twitter account
Only
has
Rosie
several-
O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
And since that moment, think about this.
He's the president of the United States.
Think about this.
Bro,
has she been
That's
relevant?
Just Iron Man
since
lands
then?
on
By the way,
stage, puts the fist down, and that's that.
And listen, I love this because remember they always were like, why he would you guys talk shit to him, he gets to talk shit back. That's how it works.
And he has a way bigger
So
platform, and he's got a
funny.
megaphone. He has the
All
bully
right, let's
pulpit.
go to the next one here.
She's a mess. She has TDS.
While this is going on, Bill Maher is now apparently going to the White House to visit Trump. And he's getting a lot of slack for it. When he was on a podcast, Kid Rock was there a couple of weeks ago and said, I want you to come meet Trump. And I'm going to take you to the White House, and we're going to go there. And then Kid Rock said a Trump supporter appeared on Real Time. Maher predicted backlash from left saying, and there will be lots of people on the left who will be like, how dare you talk to this man? It's like, F you. I'm not playing this game that you mean girls play. Oh, you know that. You can't. Is this the clip, Rob? Of what he says? Okay, play that clip, Rob. It's better off I'm
Rock
saying
was here a couple of weeks ago, and he said, I want you to meet Trump. He said, I'm going to take you to the White House. So now we're going to do that.
I think that's
and
a good
there will be
conversation.
lots of people on the left who will be like, how dare you talk to this man? I was like, fuck you. I'm not playing this game that you mean girls
boy
play.
Schultz.
Where
Yes.
like, oh, you know what? You can't sit at my lunch table because I'm just not talking to you. Not talking to you, you lost the election. Who the fuck do you think you have to talk to? It's one thing if you win it.
Yeah.
It's another thing if you lose it.
You got to start
kinda
talking to people.
Have to talk. And I see Gavin Newsom is doing this now. He's changed his tune. He's got a podcast, and the first guest was Charlie Kirk.
I thought that was, I thought that was brilliant. You
and
have
he
to
mentioned me. He said, like, I'm noticing what Bill does, talks to both sides, like is left-leaning, but not afraid to criticize the people on his team. Like, we got to get more of this going.
They always say
this
that-
has to become the center. This has to become a real center. Right now, it's like it's a few lonely islands that need to like become a bigger fucking sandbar.
Yeah. No, for real. You're right. Like, it needs to be normalized.
Adam.
Well, Bill Maher is absolutely right. I mean, I don't care what he says, no matter what he does, he's always, always, always going to be left of center. His city could burn down. They could chop off all the dicks in California. He's still going to be like, I'm still with Gavin. He doesn't care. But he's at least willing to have the conversation. Like, he'll go to the edge of the line. He'll look over on the other side. Be like, not yet. How old is Bill Maher, by the way? He's got to be 70. No? So what you have to give him credit for is that he's at least willing. 69, dude. He's about to be 70 next year. He's at least willing to have that conversation. I mean, you had a great conversation with him on the podcast. And by conversation, I mean he spoke to you for about 2 hours. And you said,
Vinny,
you
your
asked him a
thoughts on
couple
this?
questions.
Okay, well, listen, this is my opinion. You guys are going to like it because I know where, you guys, the dialogue is good. I know people want to hear it. But here's the thing. Why Bill Maher still does it right now? I know he's kind of shifting, but he called Trump a Nazi, Hitler, a traitor, an idiot, criminal, threat to democracy. What are they going to meet about? He also said he belongs in prison. He made fun of his family. He called people that support him stupid. And in 2016, he wrote did a special called Whiny Little Bitch to trash Trump. And let's not forget, he offered $5 million, do you remember this, to charity if Trump could prove his dead mother, didn't have sex with an orangutan. Okay, let's just put that out there, okay? That's not criticism, that's freaking hate, okay? And to me, it's what is that going to help Trump? seeing Bill Maher in the White House is going to do what? I'm just curious. He's not going for re-election. He's not, to me, all it does is hurt the opposite side, because let's be real. People like Gavin Newsom, okay? He's not a political opponent. He's the enemy, okay? If he gets into the power, what do you guys think he's going to do? All this podcasting and all this thing, to me, it's making them look like, yeah, the other side is good, because it's not about us. The Republicans are going to vote for him. Their side is going to go, you know what? Gavin seems, hold on.
Let me ask you a question.
You can, but let me finish. We're making him seem like he's a good person because he's speaking and he's on a podcast. Adam, do not let these people fool you. Once they get into power, that guy is a full of shit snake. Okay, you don't, this is war. You don't hand the enemy the microphone. You don't give them a platform. You don't give them the spotlight. You don't make them look good, because once they go in, don't get it twisted, bro. This is positive and negative. It's good and evil. Gavin Newsom, you want to make him look good for what? Look at what he does to the state. Look at California, okay? We dodged a bullet with Kamala. I'm not a fan of it. They're the enemy, bro. Why make them look good?
Let me ask you this
They
question.
would destroy the country if they had the chance to do it. And it almost happened with Kamala.
So there's a lot of what you just said that I agree with, but you keep calling the Democrats the enemy.
They
the
are.
enemy.
They
the
are.
enemy.
They really are.
I don't know.
Adam.
Okay.
They really are.
Just because
I believe it.
they're
in my heart of
They're Americans.
You can still be evil and be an American.
Okay. Well, this is where you lose a little bit of credibility, in my estimation.
Okay, go ahead.
I think you should find a different word than enemy. These are Americans. They're elected in America.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I agree with Gavin Newsom? No. Do I think he's a snake oil salesman? Yes. Do I think that he would be disaster for America? Yes. But calling someone an enemy, like the Ayatollahs in Iran that are shouting death to America, are an enemy. North Korea that threatens us with missiles, enemy, right? China, competitor. I don't even know if they're an enemy per se, maybe. But to call fellow Americans an enemy, I don't think is doing you any justice.
Adam.
Tom.
You can say that, but you got to look at both sides, because it's happening on both sides.
Would you have Gavin Newsom on the podcast?
When Kathy Griffin holds up a severed head and said he's better off dead, what the hell is that?
I'm not that.
When
Kathy Griffin is a used-up comedian. I'm not worried about her. I'm talking about
Let's go to Hillary
congressmen. I'm talking
Clinton
about
and the
governors.
deplorables. And then let's go.
I don't
if
condone
there's
that
voter
either.
suppression, it should be on the other side. There's been plenty said about that the conservatives are the enemies, that the conservatives are backwater, that the conservatives shouldn't even be voting. There's a lot of it that goes on backside.
I fully agree
so
that is a
you can't just
horrible
attack
rhetoric.
one side on Vinny and say, oh, Vinny, be careful about saying enemy. Where did this start?
Tom, I agree with you. You got your panties in a bunch.
No, he's
I don't like
passionate.
anybody.
Stop it. Don't
Listen,
don't
ladies,
throw the pithy little thing, panties in a butt, like you're
ladies, calm down.
That is so sexist and beneath even you, dude.
So I wish that even the Republican, there was a sorry, Tom, PBD, Tom, I know you're getting a little worked up. It's okay, I like it. This is when Tom shows his strength. I like it, respect. But there was a congressman who was speaking. Oh, it was fucking Chuck Schumer. My apologies. He called the Trump administration the enemy. And I'm watching that and I go, that is disgusting. It's disgusting. My point is this. We got to stop calling each other the enemy because you disagree with the other side. Would you sit down with Gavin Newsom if you wanted to come on the podcast?
Absolutely not. I don't want to give him. Let me finish. You asked me a question. Let me finish.
So
absolutely,
Charlie Cookwood.
I say no.
PBD, would you sit down with Gavin Newsom?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
So you're being an emotional.
No, I'm not. Because Adam,
now, Vinny.
Well, you ready for this? When I joined the military,
Tom, since you got your pennies in a bunch, would you sit down with Gavin Newsom?
There you go again, dude.
Can I finish, Adam?
Tom, would you sit down with Gavin Newsom?
Yes, I would.
Okay, tell me why.
I would sit down with Gavin Newsom.
Tell me why.
I think he'd be pretty spirited, and I'd really challenge him. But would I sit down with him in America, where everybody's got free speech, and attempt to have a dialogue?
Yeah.
Yes, I would.
Great.
Can I agree with you. My thing, Pat,
yeah,
really
go
fast?
for it. And then we'll transition.
Okay,
Go for it.
when I joined the military, just like him, we did an oath, and it said, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, guess what, Adam? When these pieces of you-know-what go after the president, they try to take his money, they try to destroy him, they open up the border, and they do all the shit that they did, they are the enemy of the people. I don't care what you want to say, and it might hurt your feelings. I don't give a shit.
So when Chuck Schumer
is one of them. They want to destroy the country.
So when he calls people within the Trump administration, RFK, Pete Hegseth,
give me the example of how. Yeah, he's full of shit.
When he calls them the enemy, do you think he's wrong in doing that?
No, Adam, he could say whatever he wants. Show me the receipts. We have the receipts of what the hell the Democrats have been doing for ages. Adam,
so only you're right.
No,
wrong.
I did not say. I just said. No, you're putting words in my mouth. Adam, there's evil Republicans. There's evil Democrats. But what the Democratic Party did for this past 4 years, if you can't tell me that was evil, with all the shit that they're doing, with letting in all the kids going missing, open border, drugs poisoning Americans, going after the president, and then the guy gets shot in the head because you're calling him fucking Hitler. Yeah, they're the enemy.
Well,
they're the enemy, period. End of story.
What I'm saying is we need to stop calling fellow Americans the enemy.
I'm not, Adam.
On both sides.
Then stop acting like an enemy, and I won't call you the enemy.
Okay, well, then,
if a dog is acting like a dog, I'm like, that's the dog.
Vinny, I love you. Just because you're yelling loud doesn't mean
not
you're
yelling.
right.
You're not
here.
making any point.
Well,
you're not making a point.
No, I'm going to give you the point right now, my friend.
Go ahead, buddy.
Charlie Kirk sat down with Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Your boss, your hero, your idol, PBD said he would sit down with Gavin Newsom.
And I wouldn't.
Tell him
I'm my own man.
So maybe you're being a little emotional.
No, I'm not, Adam, because
angry.
What is the podcast? Not Pat. I'm talking about Gavin Newsom's podcast is trying to make him look good. He's not good. He's a piece of shit.
Okay, so let's go through this. Or my opinion on this here. And this is why this works. We went to a fight this weekend. We were with John Jones and a few Syrian brothers. They had this dirty box, and it was a very good experience. And guys come up and say, "You guys actually get along?" And, we actually get along. Man, it seems like you guys, some of you hate. Nope, we actually get along. But let me tell you this about this thing here. Go and think about it from the lens of Trump. Okay, Bill Maher goes to the White House to see Trump. You know who did that in 2017, 2018? Steve Harvey. Remember when Steve Harvey went to the White House? And everybody was asking him, I cannot believe you went to the White House and da-da-da-da-da. I got an invitation from the president, so I'm going to the White House. Okay, Steve Harvey. Tim Cook, hey, how could you talk to President Trump and da-da-da-da-da? Well, he picks up my calls when I call him. Really? That's Steve Harvey right there. When he met with and by the way, this is a while back when they met. What year is this when they met? 2017, 18, I don't know when it was.
January of 2017.
Still got that
That's January 2017. You know what that is? That is that just happened.
Minutes after inauguration.
Minutes after,
first inning.
So he's there. By the way, that was probably the most controversial time to go to the White House. Harvey went. Bill Maher goes to the White House. Guess who wins if Bill Maher goes to the White House? Bill Maher or Trump?
Trump wins, 100%.
Trump wins 100% because he's saying, these guys, you're coming to me.
Yes.
You're coming to my territory. You're coming to see me. You're coming to look at me. And you know how Trump is wired? Trump is wired, in my opinion, Trump is wired in a way that I believe he believes he can woo you and he can persuade you and he can challenge you and he can call you out on your BS and he can get you to say, I kind of like this guy, okay? I kind of like that. I hate to say it, but I kind of like this guy. And then they leave and they do whatever they want to do. Bill is at a point right now that he's about to do something he never thought he would do. But here's the kicker of what's about to happen. Newsom has Charlie Kirk on. Newsom has Steve Bannon on, right? Newsom has all these guys on, okay? And I said this yesterday on Hannity. CNN comes out, and what do they do of his podcast? Rob, do you have the clip of what CNN does of his podcast?
Fact check them.
Yeah, so they fact check them. Watch this here. Go to it. Okay, this is CNN. CNN's number one candidate for the left a few years ago, not even a few years ago, a year ago, would probably be Newsom. But watch this. Go for it. Play this clip.
By the way, not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree?
Rob,
no more Latinx, everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about?
But there was a person who used Latinx. It was actually a really important person. It was him. Right?
Yeah, that's right. And look, these aren't minor shifts. These are progressive issues that Gavin Newsom used to champion until fairly recently. And now he's not just walking away from them. He's sort of acting like they were never legitimate with that clip talking about Latinx in the first place. But let's take Latinx. We did find somebody who used it repeatedly in his office. Let's take a listen to this.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. The Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
Okay. So that's CNN. I said this to Hannity last night. I said, the same way 5 years, whatever the timeline was, 4 years ago, every day we had to listen to one guy, Andrew Cuomo, when he would do his, whatever press conference every day from New York. And the Democrats would say, look how presidential he is. Look how presidential he is. Look how presidential he is. And then Andrew Cuomo decided to stand up to Pelosi and Schumer and not do what they expected him to do. What happened overnight? Oh, immediately.
Ate him alive.
They slapped him around, they pushed him out, and he was out. Out. And it wasn't pretty. It was nasty, is what they did to him, right? Wait for it. If Newsom continues to have the likes of Bannon, the likes of Charlie, say he invites DeSantis, he continues to have these types of people on his podcast, it's a matter of time, 30, 60, 90, 120 days, that the Democrats drop something real nasty about Newsom to the public. You don't have to worry about it being Republicans. You don't have to worry about it being a Fox. Democrats will eat their own, and they don't like the fact that Newsom is sitting there realizing you best go to the center, and all this BS ideas that you had, guess what? No one was interested. Now, whether that's going to win in America right now or not, who knows? And I agree with you on this as well. And here's where I fully agree with Vinny. Say he plays center right now. Say he plays like he is listening to the other side right now, which he's doing. Mm-hmm. The moment he gets in, who needs to give him the money the moment he gets in? Does he need money or does he have his own money?
No, he needs money.
Whoever gives him the money, he has to go back and do whatever those guys ask him to do that gave him the money. And that time is coming soon when that does take place. So he'll go in as a center, and then all of a sudden, whoa, here we go, I'm going to the left. What happened? You went in as a center, and then I'm going, you guys, you elected me, now I'm going to go back to the policies that I had. Same thing Kamala tried to do. Kamala tried to be, well, no, I never said that about I never said that about this. No, that's actually not my position. My position is actually this, and that. You're going to see how they're going to attack this guy. By the way, while we're talking about this, the Dems are trying to find out who is the face of the party. In Denver, Colorado, Rob, if you want to pull this up, Bernie Sanders has an event with AOC. And when you look at this event with AOC, if you can pull this up and play the clip, they say 34,000 people show up to this event. So watch this clip. They say 34,000 people showed up to this event. Okay, and by the way, whatever the number is, that's still a strong audience if you look at that, right? That's a strong audience right there that they have to show up to Bernie and AOC's event. But here's a challenge with this. According to Zero Hedge, Rob, if you can go to Zero Hedge with what Mario Nafal posted, I think it's in the exchange. If you don't have it, I can send it to you. I think you do have it, but I'll text it to you as well. In the in the exchange in Zero Hedge's, right there. So massive rally, AOC rally. Turns out it wasn't as grassroots as advertised. Look at this number here. Despite claims of 34,000, GPS data analysis reveals the real number was closer to 20,000. Still big, but not record-breaking because they measured all the cell phones. More revealing, a whopping 84% of those devices had shown up to 9 other protests or more, including Antifa, BLM events, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian demonstrators, and Kamala Harris campaign stop. Over 30% have attended by 20 or more. Data analyst says the crowd was anything but organic. The majority were tied to activist networks like Disruption Projects, Indivisible, Democratic Socialist America, Rise and Resist, and Troublemakers, all reportedly funded by Act Blue.
Weird.
And some receiving backing via U.S. aid. Optics over authenticity. The playbook hasn't changed, just the target. So you can see this and see the fact that there's a fight going on, and everyone's trying to be the face of the Democratic Party. I don't know if they're going to allow Newsom to be it, and I don't think if they're going to allow AOC or Bernie to be it. I don't think they're going to allow either one of them.
I hope
the
not.
Democratic Party believes in arranged marriage. They don't believe in you get to marry whoever you want to marry. The Democrats believe in you marry who we tell you're going to marry. They do this practice in some marriages in India. They do this in some Middle Eastern countries. The Democratic establishment party is fully an arranged marriage. They'll let you know if AOC can be your wife. They'll let you know if Newsom can be your husband. Until then, they'll let you know whenever they're ready, and it may not be those two guys. So Yeah, I think Newsom's going to do his part. There's a big fight right now to see who's going to be a part of this. Tom, your thoughts when you see AOC and Bernie doing what they're doing to trying to kind of win the votes of Democrats right now?
Well, first of all, you're trying to find the face of the party, and so you send out the small market share fringe far left. That just doesn't seem to me like what you'd be sending out. It's about to be baseball season. You got to send out the American, apple pie, neutral, almost centrist. And I think this is ridiculous. And of the protesters, boy, we got the executive platinum of protesters. They've been everywhere. They've been collecting up all those miles and everything. This is the executive platinum protesters club. Yeah. Look at that. And so you send them out. So I think this is a real tin ear. And it shows you that somewhere inside the DNC, they really believe their absolute progressive side, their fringe, is something that will get traction. And I believe they sent it out to just put anger on the street. They sent it out to get angry. And that's even one of the things that AOC was saying. If you're really angry, you're with us. Show us you're angry. Show us you're angry. And so it was a high emotion. So they pack the ballot box with a bunch of fake protesters. They tell everybody, get really angry, show the emotion, because that's all the visual clips that they want. But meanwhile, the party, I don't think the party really wants us, but they sent it out. So it was kind of confusing to me. I think it was like an emotion. They want the clips and want the visual and they want the emotion out there. They want to show some anger and people are upset.
So do you think the Democratic Party will allow AOC or Newsom to be the face of the party?
AOC, I do not think they will allow her, but they may end up with her because female, articulate, attractive, Hispanic. I mean, there's a lot of boxes that she, quote, checks there. And then, what's really funny is Newsom is trying to be a capitalist. He's out there being a capitalist. I'm the product. I want you to buy me, and I want market share. Yeah. That's capitalism. He does not want the socialist arranged marriage, and he's actually staying far from it. And by the way, this has been his MO. And I think they will ultimately select him as the face of the party? Pat, I think they may end up in that default position. But remember, he's refused to fly with the party for 3 years. Who put himself out there and had a debate with DeSantis separately? That wasn't the DNC. That wasn't sanctioned by the DNC. Yeah. They were like, will you stay out of the way, please? What the hell are you doing? We're trying to figure out what we're going to do with Biden. And yet he was out there kind of inserting himself out there. That wasn't DNC. That was Gavin Newsom. I think they may end up with him.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, Tom, there's one correction. You said she's articulate. She's definitely not articulate. She's probably one of, I think her and Jasmine Crockett are up there for the actual dumbest. And I actually the moment she sits in an actual debate, there was one clip that I saw where this lady's asking her questions and she was completely lost. Mind you, this is the same person that said that we're going to be.
Let me make sure. She can deliver a line. She's not a Rhodes Scholar.
Bingo. And the fact that she's like,
okay, so the perception is, wow, that was really wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. But she's. By the way, didn't she say that the world's going to end in a couple of years? So I don't even know why she would even want to run. She thinks we're going to end. But Gavin Newsom, I'm telling you right now, he's a slick. Do you remember when Biden was in, guys? And he was. Biden was on vacation. Weird, because he was on vacation more than any other president, mentally and physically. He's walking on the White House lawn. Remember, no shirt, no tie. He was walking out there. He's injecting himself. And I'm telling you right now, when it gets down to crunch time and they have nobody, not Bernie Sanders with this balloon haircut, and her, they're going to Tom, you nailed it. He's going to be the default because people are going to be used to him. He was on the White House lawn. He was at the debates talking with DeSantis. Oh, he has a podcast, and he's talking to everybody. We kind of like him. They're not going to go back and look at these Latinx clips. They're going to be like, oh, you know what? Gavin's going to fight. Gavin's for us, and I think that he's going to be the default guy unless somebody comes out of the woodwork that's a surprise.
Adam.
So we're just real quick on AOC because we're talking about AOC right now. Rob, I sent you some data. She, whether we like it or not, is the most viable candidate that the Democrats have right now. They did this poll on CNN. Which Democratic leader best reflects the party's values? She had a whopping 10% in first place. Kamala had 9. Bernie had 8.
Where's Newsom?
Newsom wasn't on this list, ironically enough.
This is what date? This is recently?
This was recently.
March 6th through 9th?
Yeah. So we'll see where Gavin Newsom ends up. But here's my prediction. She's going to make number one, she's a representative. She's not even a senator. She's not a governor. When's the last time a representative did anything? Like became a president?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Bernie got mad when he was asked about
Find
it.
that out for me. So we'll see where she goes. We'll see where if she tries to take Chuck Schumer's Senate seat, because he's getting a lot of heat right now after he went through the continuing resolution and passed the budget. But here's my prediction on AOC.
Barack Obama's only at 4%, same as Jasmine Crockett.
Wow.
Barack,
it's over.
Fall
Been
from
over.
grace. But
I loved her.
You know,
Miami
we talked
Vice.
about marketing. We talked about what Trump says. You know, build the wall, drain the swamp, lock her up. Da da da. She had a very viral slogan that she wore. She made a sweater for this.
Yeah.
And
Tax
it was
the rich.
Tax the rich.
Yeah.
And then eat the rich. Billionaires shouldn't exist. So let's see what happens when she runs a presidential campaign. There it is. Tax the rich. She wore it on her dress.
How much was that dress?
Okay. Let's see what happens when this chick needs to raise $1 billion.
Yeah.
Let's see what she's going to do to get that money. My guess is she's going to go to all the rich people, all the lobbyists. Remember when Chris Cuomo said, look up there, look up there. You know, the Democratic Party has a major problem. You saw it. Bernie Sanders was like, we got to take down the billionaires. And then please welcome to the stage billionaire governor J.B. Pritzker. It's like, what just happened here?
I made a mistake.
He can pick on one because I am one.
Yeah.
That's the issue, is that when you're so against the wealthy, when you're so against the rich, when you want to tax the rich, but then you need their money.
Yeah, weird.
You're going to have what's called cognitive dissonance, and that's a problem.
Nice.
You make a very good point. And
Thanks, Tom.
I'm not adding on here. I'm just going to let it go. But when you go, the first thing that happens to a congressman when they become a senator is they change their view on campaign finance reform.
Bingo.
Because they need billionaire dollars now.
Can you cut that for Adam and put it pin it at the top? Like, you make a great point.
That happens every show, Pat.
Right,
Like it or not.
Let's go to this next story here.
Wait,
next story is Snow White.
Oh.
Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live action remake opening ever. Let me say that again. Ever. Okay? This is Snow White. And for those of you that have daughters or ladies that are listening to this, remember the first time you watched Snow White? The story, a love story, what happens to it. Snow White starring Rachel Zegler opened to a dismal $43 million, snagging the title of the lowest debut weekend for any Disney live-action remake, beating 2019's Dumbo at $46 million. They beat Dumbo. Shame on you, but it's for the worst ever. The article notes this does not count for the 29-year-old live-action remake of 101 Dalmatians, which is not part of the current cycle. Nevertheless, the 1996 remake movie still open at $33.5 million. Today's dollars, that would be $68 million. Overseas and farce projections whopping $100 million, $87 million globally, falling short of $270 million budget before promotion, leaving Disney facing a brutal loss. Entertainment Media offered excuses, with Penske Entertainment Media monopoly claiming there's another thing when it comes to Snow White, and it has nothing to do with controversy, rather her age. That being in Disney years 88 years, suggesting older tales like Maleficent, Cinderella, 101 Dalmatians with darker, colder classical themes don't draw modern female audiences. The article counters, okay, but then why did the 2015 live-action remake of 65-year-old Cinderella 1950 open to $68 million domestic and $542 million global gross? Pretty scary thought here. Rob, can you play the clip and tell me, folks, if you watch this, tell me if this is attractive to you. Tell me if this is attractive to you. Like, does this, imagine you invested into her being the face of the movie, and she's the main character, and she's trying to promote the movie. Would this make you want to go watch the movie when she's starring in it and she's the main character? Go ahead, Rob. Play the clip.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them,
she's a good actress,
that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Wow.
The ego on this girl is ridiculous.
Wow. And Rob, do you have another clip of what she did the first time? Is this the one?
Yes, because if you remember, this movie was delayed. And then at one point they took, because they couldn't have dwarves. Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
that?
because Peter Dinklage and all them were talking crap.
So originally they
Do you have
took
a picture of what the dwarves were supposed to look like?
I can find it, but it was an array. It was the DEI of
DEI
dwarves.
dwarves.
Yep. But they actually ended up, that was too controversial. They had to reshoot the film and use CGI dwarves instead of actual
And
dwarves.
those dwarves were never used.
No, then they upset the dwarves that weren't used in the film because the dwarves were upset that it was going to hurt their acting career that they got pulled out of the movie.
That's so, you cannot make.
Rob, I just
Snow
sent you
White and
the
the Seven
picture
Dwarfs
that-
didn't have dwarves.
Let's see the dwarves picture first, and then let's go to the video.
Look,
They
it
had
looks
to
like
CGI the dwarves.
It looks like the dwarf fraternity from like the University of Oregon after a drinking binge. You see this?
Yeah, these are the ones that they
Yeah.
had to replace
Those were
completely and do
bandits.
CGI instead.
There
So
you go.
those guys didn't make it.
No.
That guy's 6'2".
So what did they replace these guys with?
That's Sleepy, that's Drunky, that's Cokehead.
But what did
that's
they replace
Tully,
it with,
that's
Rob?
Blackie.
Jesus.
Yeah.
With Snow White CGI.
Animated CGI.
Can I see it?
Yes.
Go to images.
These are the
Little
ones
guy.
You're
They
joking.
look like Santa's helpers and a fat Santa in
And
the
this
middle.
movie was delayed multiple times. This was
Yeah.
supposed to come out in 2024. They just released it, and here she is. This is Rachel Zegler. This is her on the red carpet. This is in 2023, promoting the film and talking about
This
why
is
it's
what you
weird.
call promotion.
Promoting
Go
the
for it.
film.
Demoting.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that
Super
this
weird.
time.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie.
Right.
Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those things that I think everyone's going to have their assumptions about what it's actually going to be, but it's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024.
God.
All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
What?
So, yeah.
My agent would have punched me in the face if I was up there saying some stupid what an investment. Oh, like $300 million. It's Snow. They should have just called it Snow.
By the way,
slightly tanned.
that was the budget before promotion was 270.
Okay.
The promotion budget I just read was 230.
So $500 million.
Correct.
$500 million.
Approximately $500 million in total.
The review, by the way, 43% of Rotten Tomatoes. Roberto sent me this. 1.9 out of 10 on IMDb. And those, by the way, they weren't dwarfs. They were called bandits. So the Snow White doesn't, like, the amount of, like, if it ain't broken, don't fix
Break it.
Leave it the fuck alone. Yeah, that's it. If it ain't broke, break it. Like, leave these stories alone. If she, by the way, if she never opened her mouth and she didn't do all this nonsense, people would have gone and watched the movie. They would have made their money, but then people would have been disappointed after the math. Like, why are you talking? Like,
I have a
talk.
quick question. You and Adam know entertainers. You know a lot of people. Adam's connected in Miami. There's a lot of people down here.
Yeah.
You know, after careers, people coming up in careers. I mean, he knows one of the most prominent comedians and cast members, SNL. So let's play a game called Hubris and Handlers.
I love games.
So the handlers are the agents. And what do the agents tell them? You know what? You're great, man. They're going to come see you.
They love
They're
you.
going to see you. You got to
You're the
look your
best.
best. I got you a
Your
I
money.
got you a
Your
lunch.
money, baby.
I got a
Your
lunch.
mon-
You have lunch with Irving, and you're going to sit with Irving, and I'm going to sit with Irving, and you are the star. You are the product,
Yes.
and they're going to put you in this.
Yes.
You are perfect for this role.
Yes.
Is that the way it happens?
100%.
Okay, I'm not exaggerating.
And the guy talks like that too. Yes, I'm
Vinny,
a star.
this is a Showtime special. This is a Showtime special for comedy. They need a fourth guy right in there. I think you're it. I think it's this. You're going to make it.
Got it.
And so the handlers do this to death.
Yeah.
And then the hubris is they believe it, and then when they're unleashed on the red carpet,
Oh, man.
that's what you
And
get.
this is the woman that's stepping down from Lucasfilms.
Oh, when did this happen?
Kathleen Kennedy just
Uh-oh.
announced at the end of 2025 she's leaving. And she's the reason behind a lot of these DEI. This is the one.
The movies and
The
everything.
Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah.
So
So we're going to see what's going to happen here. Adam.
I'm so disappointed in Disney. And I'm not saying this as a moviegoer. I'm not saying this as someone who's railing against DEI. I'm saying this as a stock owner in the company of Disney.
You brought it.
I brought it to show it. I didn't want to send Rob a picture because I don't want to get a pow. But here is my grandma, when I was born, I guess, bought me 10 shares of Disney. Okay?
Oh, is this your annual vote?
This is my annual vote.
Oh, wow.
So I get to vote as a shareholder of Disney. My stock has plateaued over the last 10 years. Okay? The stock in 2015 was about $100. In 2025, it's still $100. For the last 10 years, Disney, you ain't done shit. I'm trying to save that money. I'm trying to invest that money. I'm trying to grow that money.
Gone.
Stock price has done nothing in 10 years.
Thanks, Nana.
So here are the names of the people they're telling me. Look, PBD, they're saying, we recommend you vote for.
Recommendation.
You see all these names. Mary Barra, fired. Amy Chang, fired. Jeremy DeRoque, fired. Carolyn Everson, fired. Michael Froman, fired. Robert Iger. How do we know that name?
Bob Iger.
Bob Iger.
Is that his brother?
We wrote his. No, that's him.
Oh, that's
homie.
him. Robert. My bad.
Bobby.
He was. We wrote his. He read his book, Ride of a Lifetime.
I didn't read it.
Yeah, well, you can't read, but we
Whatever.
read it as a company.
Potato.
All these guys, Calvin McDonald. Nobody knows these fucking people, but they're asking for their
vote.
jobs back.
Yeah.
In 10 years, you guys have made no money for shareholders in the company. You got to go.
Adam, we ran out of toilet paper. I might be using
Thank
that.
you.
after.
Preston,
And this
this
movie-
stock sucks like a vacuum cleaner.
But this movie is the antithesis of what's going on with Disney.
Great word.
And by the way,
Thank you.
Mary Barra, who's on the board and on
Yes.
that list there, you know what she's famous for?
Tell me.
She's at General Motors and she crashed Cadillac into a tree. So it's basically.
Oh, man.
So hey, you're destroying the auto industry. Perfect. Do you
nobody
know anything about media? No, that's perfect. Neither do we. Join the board.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, but they also want us to vote for approving more executive compensation. You're fired. But here's the thing with this movie. It is all the crap that we've learned about in the last 4 years since wokeness and cancel culture took over. It's all the greatest hits in one movie.
Right.
It's DEI. They can't even get dwarves in the movie because they're DEIing the dwarves. Ridiculous. It's the wokeness. It's the feminism. It's the toxic masculinity. It's the gays for Gaza fighting. Rachel Zegler, who's Colombian, is fighting with the Israeli Gal Gadot about what's going on. Gal Gadot, here's another thing. She's from Israel. She served her country. Rachel Zegler's a freaking Colombian chick born in America. You don't know nothing about the Middle East, but she feels like she could argue on the same wavelength. She was one of the most beautiful women in the world a few years ago.
She's still hot.
She's still got it going on.
Looks dangerous.
So
what happened at the Oscars when they were presented awards together, Rob?
It got very ugly
Did it?
because
Together?
Rachel Zegler.
They were. Something happened.
There's a funny line in the movie.
They have barely done any interviews together.
No, they can't.
Do you have that clip, Rob, of them at the Oscars?
I'm going to look for it right now.
Find
Yes,
that.
if you can find it.
The funny, if you watch the trailer, they did this before all this beef. The first line in the trailer is Snow White is like, "Can we just be nice?" And the queen, the evil queen, goes, "I don't remember you being so opinionated." That is literally in the movie, and it just goes to show that's so apropos for what's happening.
Can we show
right now.
this, Rob? Guys?
Show this right here.
How long is it, Rob?
25 seconds.
Can we show
Can we
it? or
show
no?
it?
If I talk over it a little bit.
Do they have any background music or anything that we can't?
No.
I'm not sure. I've not been able to screen the clip.
Let's see this here. Go for it.
Visual effects push the boundaries
She is
of
Israeli.
what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem
Is
possible.
that the dwarf right there?
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
They look like they hate each other up there.
Yeah, I don't know if I could tell that. I can
felt
just tell
There-
that she.
there's
maybe
worse
a
stuff.
little-
They won't do press together. There's apparently beef right there. But here's the biggest thing, and it's, you know, I'm bringing all this together right now. Bill Maher, this movie, Disney. Do you remember the graph? We love our graphs. Of Bill Maher saying how everybody is just gay now, right?
One out of four.
Boomers, you know, Gen X.
Rob.
Oh yeah, he went
Rob,
generation by generation.
This
We're
thing right
doubling
here.
every generation
Exactly.
by 2050. We're
In
all
this
gay.
movie, who was supposed to be the hero in Snow White? The original story, the original adaptation. It was the prince, the quote unquote stalker, who kisses her and wakes her up and saves her life.
He's a stalker.
In this movie, she's like, oh my God, he's like a stalker. Or like, why is he like, so.
He would have been arrested.
And I don't know if you're looking for a love story, you're not going to get that. We're doing it different. And she's telling you, don't come to Snow White.
And meanwhile.
Is she your type, Adam?
Gal Gadot, 100%.
No, I'm talking about
Nope. Nope. Midget. I'm not into midgets. But what I'll say is this.
Little person or dwarf, Adam.
They just got canceled, bro.
What if she's got 3 rides on Uber, all 5-star?
Oh,
3,000 rides.
Sign me in. Sign me up.
She is beautiful. Hold on, let's not front.
She's a cute chick.
But look at how beautiful you go from like unattractive because of the shit that comes out of your mouth.
I'm going to move on this one because Adam's getting a little too
Women already
excited.
give you enough headaches. Now they're liberal and woke. You don't need this in your life.
All right, matter of fact,
but
let me
PBD, would
transition
you go
into this
take your?
next story.
You're transitioning now.
What do we? Yes, we are.
Transitioning.
What are you going to say?
Would
here?
you take your kids to go see Snow White? Your girls?
No.
It's supposed to be a kids movie, and all this drama's in it.
I asked my kids a question the other day. Movies or ice cream?
I saw that.
And the all of
Brooklyn, no hesitation.
Period.
Ice cream. Tico movies. Mommy, ice cream. And Papa was ice cream.
What about Senna?
Senna was not allowed to come. Because
Papa?
her and Dylan.
What happened?
Something happened.
Something deep. We'll talk about that later.
It's a tough one.
Okay.
It's a tough one. They have to go through
skirmish.
it. That's right. All right, so let's go through this here. And this is a perfect transition. Wall Street Journal story. American women are giving up on marriage.
Damn it, that's not good for me.
This is not good, bro. Especially if you want one. Like, let's read this story. Ladies, if you haven't given up on marriage, you're single, you're, take care of yourself, and you're into good-looking, young, funny Assyrian men, please connect Vinny. Vincent Oshana on Connect. That's his QR code. And if you have a friend, maybe you're married, and you have a girl that you want to introduce Vinny to, please connect Vinny. Now, ladies, if you're young, barely out of college, bad relationship with your father,
can't speak good English,
connect Adam.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a very different community we got. No, but you guys
Also, fellas, I'm willing to go as a gay Jew.
Let me read
Allegedly.
this.
I'll take what I can get. You're rich.
American women are giving up on marriage. Andrea, 29-year-old boss. Andrea. Old Boston, 29-year-old Boston accountant said, I'm financially self-sufficient, enough to do with things myself, enough to do these things myself. What are these things? Opening to house hunt solo and consider kids alone, admitting I don't want to sit here and say I'm 100% happy, but I feel happier just accepting my reality. Daniel Cox of the American Enterprise Institute, the numbers aren't netting out, with more women than men are attending college, buying houses and focusing on their friendships and career over dating and marriage, as 51.4% of women 18 to 40 were single in 2023. Damn. Did you guys pay attention? Vinny and Adam, you guys pay attention to this part. 51.4% of women ages 18 to 40 were single in 2023.
Okay.
So 51.4% right there in 2023.
All right.
Just 23 years ago was only 41.8%.
Damn.
Exactly. That it went from 41.8 to 51.4%, 18 to 40, single. Surveys show shifting attitudes, with a 2024 AEI poll finding over half of single women said they believed they were happier than their married counterparts, versus just over a third of surveyed single men. A 2022 Pew survey revealing only 34% of single women were looking for romance, compared to 54% of single men. That's not a good matchup.
No, it's not.
Vinny, your thoughts on this, since you did a lot of research on this. What do you want to say about the story?
I don't know. I'm just, I think just with, especially when you have girls like that Rachel Zegler, that their attitude is guys pursuing, girls, it's stalker mentality. And I don't know. Just me as a single guy right now. I mean, I have Pat, I went from military to no birds and the bees talk with my dad. Never. I don't know if did your dad ever give you the talk? No. Okay, yeah. So I went from military, not knowing anything.
He would just call me and leave a message in the army, and I would say, Tico, mutret vadet, hemisha condom noch aber. Hemisha. Okay? He would send me condoms as gifts when I was in the army.
Seriously,
that's my
100%.
We all know how
my
Vinny
dad
feels
would
about
send me
condoms.
boxes of condom for when I was in the army.
I love Gabriel. That's a father. Even the conversation. My dad not mentioned it once. So then I went from not knowing to military, you know about that, and then to Hollywood. And then it just ruined everything. But I think just the sentiment now, I think it's a mind shift and it's a culture shift, because at the end of the day, you know, we're made to put here to do what? Multiply?
And procreate.
And procreate and do it. And I mean, listen, I'm in line, and I'm just, you know, I'm biding my time. I'm praying to God, and it's going to happen.
I'd love to hear Tom's opinion, then I can maybe clean up here.
Well, first of all,
Adam's going to clean up, guys. He's our cleanup.
He's a cleanup hitter. Clean up on aisle 7.
He's our cleanup.
Clean up on aisle 7, guys.
Adam would be 9th place. Like, what do you call, like a pitchers? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, unfortunately, these
Closers,
numbers. Unfortunately, the numbers are real. Starting with the number of women that are in college versus men that are in college, there's shifts that are happening all over the place, and you know, we could do a case study on this, but there has been the emergence of it's over, I think it's 18 years, because that goes back to 2007, the emergence of the hookup culture. Yeah. And so the hookup culture and temporary relationships, the changing demographic of who's in college and women, but there are other, so all that's very real. I'm not going to say that's not real, but there are other stats out there that talk about satisfaction having children with a married partner. They talk about the truth that there is happiness and satisfaction. Is it challenging? Yes. They'll drive you nuts some weekends? Yes. But is there an ultimate joy in knowing that you're building citizens of the future and you're building this person of quality? And the answer is yes. And so for every article that talks about one side of it, there's a lot of other data that talks about the other side, but unfortunately, a lot of the things they're talking about are very real, and today's single people are having greater challenges than ever before finding people that think and feel the same way they do, that they feel that they could trust, and build a big relationship with.
Adam, clean up. Come on.
Clean up on aisle 7.
Hit it.
So, Chelsea Handler, it's all your fault. American women are giving up on marriage. You know, when Chelsea Handler, my ex, you know, when we had that internet beef 3 years ago, it's because I was citing a report from Morgan Stanley called the She Economy, not the economy, but the She Economy. And basically saying by 2025, which the year we're in now, they anticipate that 45% of working women between 18 and 40 will be childless, no married, no kids. Well, the report was wrong, because they said 45%. Tom, you're a numbers guy. What number is it now?
41.8, according to the...
No, that's what it was in 2000, Tom. Not sure why I called on you.
51.4. 51.4, according to the American Enterprise Institute.
Thank you, Tom. You had one job, and you got the stat wrong. I love you anyway. However, 51% of women have nothing going on, no marriage, no kids, no nothing. That's up literally 10% since 2000. So, Chelsea Handler, you might want this no kid, all drugs, all sex toy thing going on in your life. And that's great because you're famous and you're a feminist and you got millions in the bank. But my question is this. For the 38-year-old woman who's making 60 grand a year working as whatever job, for the 34-year-old woman who's basically focused on her job and not a family, for the 44-year-old woman who's now considering having a baby with herself, did modern feminism work out for you? So I would argue that Chelsea Handler has been the poster child for what is wrong in America, for focusing on yourself rather than a family. A woman has one job that she can do better than a man. Only one.
Birthing?
And that's birthing. It's not working. It's not fighting. It's not hustling. It ain't rebounding. What's her face in the WNBA that's going on strike? It is birthing.
Angel Reese or whatever.
Angel Reese. Yeah. So there's been this conflation of that men are women and women are men. There's no difference. Men and women are not equal. Why? Because equal means the same. We're not the same. You have this magical, amazing ability to have children and give birth. And you're giving it all up to do what? Make a couple extra bucks? And then here's the funniest thing is they say things like, you know, I don't want no man telling me what to do. Listen, bitch. Jeez. You don't want your husband telling you what to do, but you'll have a random boss telling you what to do? So it doesn't make any sense to me. The happiest, in my opinion, that women were was when they were focusing on family, having kids. They didn't have to stress about work. I'm not saying that they shouldn't work, but prioritize kids and family. Vinny's 58 years old. He could still impregnate a woman today.
Yep.
You go meet a 58-year-old woman, she ain't doing nothing. That thing's
honestly,
dusty.
with the way your take, I'm surprised you're single, not married.
So
I'm actually very surprised.
I have a newsflash. Polymarket said
we're not going to play this game because I was married 10 years ago to a woman, very lovely girl.
To a woman, okay.
To a woman, that's
Checks,
right.
got it,
Tom,
check.
you've been with one in your life. You understand. And she wasn't a wife. She wanted to get married, but she wasn't willing to be a wife. So I sent her back out to
the pack,
her pasture,
to the herd.
figure it out.
Yeah.
And now here's the biggest problem. We can make fun of us all as one. There's a lot of hoes out there. There's a lot of girlfriends out there. There's a lot of girls that you would date. There's not a lot of good wives out there. You know, we're talking about inflation in America today. Are you familiar with another term called hoflation? Familiar with this term, Vinny?
I just heard it right now.
The price you pay for an average wife, for a woman who used to be a wife, is much greater than it has ever been. The concept of men having to work 20 times harder than their grandfathers for women that are 20% worse than their grandmothers. Is
that Webster's?
That's
Urban
Webster's.
Dictionary.
Urban,
That's
got
Urban
it. Got
Dictionary.
it. Nice.
But now you're starting to see things like, do you know who, this is a weird thing we were talking about, I was actually talking about it with Andrew Tate. Do you know who Riley Reid is?
No.
Okay, she's a famous porn star. Don't Google her.
Baseball player.
Don't Google it. Don't Google it.
You could just maybe hit an image and hit a blur. Okay, there she is. This is a woman. Think about this for a second,
Looks
guys.
wet.
She is.
No, I mean her. Guys,
I get it, Vinny.
You're going to pervert land.
So-
I'm saying she looks like she's just been.
Google Riley Reid wedding. So she recently got married, okay, to a guy. I think he's famous for doing parkour. This is a adorable little girl who has. Okay, go to that image right there so you can see.
I don't think I can show this.
No, you can show. Okay, maybe.
I don't show this in the back.
Okay,
please.
gotcha. All right, that's her. Maybe you don't show that. That's her after being.
There's no way we showed that, did we?
Don't show that. That's her after being with, let's just say, the starting five for the Lakers, and then juxtapose that with getting married to some dude, and then she says, "Hey guys, internet." By the way, she's all over the internet. Hey guys, would you please respect the fact that I'm married now and maybe delete all the scenes I've done on the internet because I've grown now.
Good luck with
and
that.
I want to be respected. So here's this cuck marrying a literal porn star and basically saying, don't worry about your past, babe. It's okay that you've been filled more times than an Exxon gas pump, okay? So that is the problem with women. This is hoflation. That is who men are choosing to marry. That's a wife? That's who you're going to choose to have. Hey, mom, I want you to introduce you to my new girlfriend, Riley Reid. Unbelievable. So who's the one that we talked about? You had sex with 100
is
guys?
this like your chance to vent because you're done, okay? So we got it. We understand
What does that
where
mean
you're at
I'm
with
done?
this. Yeah, like
What does
I'm
that
good.
mean?
You've been speaking plenty of time. We'll move on. So,
But you do notice what's happening in society.
Adam, I got your point. You're in this life, so the only people you're ever with is with nightlife
Pat,
people.
you're
So
absolutely wrong. I'll tell you
Am
why
I
you're
absolutely wrong?
Yeah, I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, so go ahead. Tell us what
because
you
it's
tell
not,
us what's
it's not
changed
I'm
with
in this
you.
life.
Yeah.
Every man who's single is in this life.
Yeah.
I get that you're happily married. You have four
No,
kids.
that's not. No,
That's
don't,
amazing.
Don't,
No, that is the
don't-
point.
No, that's not the point.
Of
No,
course
no,
it's the
because
point.
For,
The point is you don't know what it's like to be single out there
you,
and see half the girls you meet are doing OnlyFans.
Adam, where are you looking for these people?
I'm not even saying me.
No, but
Pat.
that's the point. Though, where are you looking?
Don't worry about
Let
me.
ask
I'm
you a
good.
question. No,
I'm talking about the rest of men in society.
No, you're speaking from your perspective.
No,
you're speaking.
Who do you think has more credibility on this topic, me or you?
You're to being around hoes. You, yeah, I agree. You're around this. That's your market.
True
That's,
that, but also being in,
no, but if you're asking me who has more credibility, you do in this area. But also,
I don't
your
hang out with this girl.
Your challenge.
I also hang out with normal
Adam,
women. I'm saying the challenge that young men are facing.
When's the last time you did Saucecast? When's the last time you did Saucecast?
It got canceled because I don't know for whatever
When's the
reason.
last time you did Saucecast?
It's been a while.
Why do you think you stopped doing Saucecast?
Because I stopped talking about money because someone encouraged me to start talking about the hose.
Who did?
Some gentleman that maybe works here.
Someone told you to talk about hoes.
No, I didn't say that.
Who?
I don't know.
Who? Tell us who.
Go
Go ahead.
Tell you who.
Go ahead. Tell us who.
Saying what?
Someone told you to talk about hoes?
Talk about relationships and lifestyle.
That's a whole different story.
Okay. So for you, when you how old are you right now, bro?
I'm 45.
45 years old. This is how you're speaking about this.
Yes.
So
because this is how they talk. So what's your criticism with me, sir?
This is what? Go ahead, tell me.
This is what's going out there in society at this point.
For who, though? In what
For
community?
every man out there.
No, it's not true, though.
Yes, that is true.
That is not true, though.
Okay.
It's where...
What percentage of women did OnlyFans 20 years ago?
Do you know...
What percentage of women did OnlyFans 20 years ago?
Do you know how long prostitution... Do you know how long prostitution's been around?
It's the oldest profession.
How long has prostitution been around?
Forever.
Okay, then. So go to how long that's been around. The trade of prostitution, or whatever you want to talk about it.
10 seconds after the invention of money.
How long have drugs been around? How long has... But you know what you sound like to me? You sound like a little victim. Is what you sound like. You sound like
You're making this about me, and I'm making this about society.
No, because...
So go ahead. I'm the victim. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Any guy who listens to this and buys into the rhetoric that's being sold, hear them out. But if you buy it, you sound like a victim. That's what you sound like. When somebody talks like that, everybody's this and everybody's that and everybody's that, you sound defeated. You sound like a victim. You sound weak. A guy, you know what it's like? It's like when I ran an insurance business for the longest time, my guys would come to me Monday morning and they would say, you know what it is? All these guys with leads and insurance, there are no more people that want to buy life insurance. Haven't you seen the stats? And they're just life insurance has been declining. Do you know when I started a life insurance company? In 2009. Do you know what was going on in 2009? Do you know what was happening with insurance companies like AIG? What was going on with AIG in 2009? AIG is about to go out of business.
TARP, recession,
That's right.
trouble.
Do you know what data came out saying that the life insurance industry went from 500,000 agents to 174,000 agents? Life insurance is a dying industry. You know why? Because the old timers that made a lot of money, guess what they're not doing? They're no longer training new people. And that's what they're doing. They're no longer training anybody. And guess what? And I said, you know what percentage of agents are women? 17%. You're never going to be able to get women to sell insurance. Oh, really? Yeah, okay. Well, look, I saw how buyers and customers will receive the sale coming from a woman versus a man, and I think there's a lot of market. If there's 174,000 agents right now, we used to have 500,000 more, there's got to be a major demand for insurance because I looked at the data and I said, that's what we're going to build an insurance company. While my competitors were saying there's no more market for life insurance, we licensed 50,000 people and sold a business for $250 million. Mm-hmm. While I'm around people that sound like you talking about insurance and there's no more need for it. What's the point? Is what you're saying with Tinder, with all these dating apps, making it tougher for guys to find girls because they're easier, you don't know how many people they've been with? Oh, yes. Is it tougher if I go on a date right now with Tinder and the script is, you know, you're the first guy I've gone on a date with Tinder. You think I believe that? Of course not. But where am I looking? Versus, if I'm really interested in wanting to get married, guess who I'm talking to? The people around me. I'm getting in different communities. I'm going to different markets, just like if an insurance. If you want to sell a $20 million life insurance policy and you want to go to people that are rich, do you think you're going to find them at a nightclub or do you think you're going to find them at a country club? Do you think you're going to find a $20 million life insurance policy going to a Starbucks, or do you think you're going to find it going to the hotel we were at, which was whatever that hotel was, or if we go to Four Seasons, or if I go to networking at Mar-a-Lago, or if I go, where do you think I'm going to find these types of clients? You think having lunch at Mar-a-Lago, maybe I'm going to be around some clients that can do some premium financing? Yes. It's where you go to look for them. So your points you're making, although they may be valid because accessibility is more prevalent today than ever before, but prostitution and all this stuff has been around for a very, very long time. To sound like a victim and revert back to the sauce talking point that you had 24/7, of course you ain't going to get married. And that's okay. By the way, I don't care if you never get married. But the idea of playing the position of, I want to have a family, and then you talk like this. I don't know if I'm telling you to talk like this. Who are you? Like, we had this conversation a year and a half ago when I said the following. It's so hard to do. It's so hard to do this message here. Whenever you give a message and you watch, like we're in a room and I'm talking to my guys and they're saying to me, well, Pat, we don't think we should have a full-timers meeting on the 1st of January. I don't know why you do that every year. Every year on January 1st, I would host a full-timers meeting on the 1st at 8 a.m. And I'm running an office, sales agents that are mainly in their mid to late 20s, some of the early 30s. Who the hell in their 20s wants to go to a manager's meeting with a freaking crazy guy named Patrick Bet-David January 1st at 8 a.m.? Who do you think wants to go to?
Nobody.
Nobody does. Nobody does. But that was my way of lowering the number of DUIs my guys would get, because I know what happens on December 31st, because I used to party a lot back in the days. So, when we're having a conversation, you know what the conversation will be like or whatever. So what time do you think we should have this meeting? I think we should start it at 11 a.m. I think we should do barbecue and start it at 10 a.m. I think we should do what's going on, guys? What is that?
No, it's something else. It's our notes from today.
Yeah, I think we should play it at noon and do barbecue for everybody. And then you know how many people in the room would agree that we should do it at 8 a.m.? Less than 5%. And guess what I'm doing a meeting at? I'm doing it at 8 a.m. 95% of people hated me for it. I'm still hosting a meeting. And I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. It wasn't like I'm a married guy. Like, you don't understand what it is to be. I was as single as one could be. And I'm still hosting a meeting. Right? People showed up. And then we held the meeting. It was always the best meeting ever because it would be a high level of preparation. Be very careful who you're entertaining that's validating your point to make you feel like you're validated. Be very careful what mob makes you think you're right. Be very careful what community gives you the attention you need for you to feel like you're the right guy. You're right on this. Be very careful. Who do you want to win over? There's certain people that have no interest in winning over. And this has been around for a long time. When I didn't want to get married, guess what I want to go to? The places you go to. When I eventually wanted to, I wanted to find a different community, different lifestyle, different people that have made different choices. And then you sit there and you're like, okay, let's see what's going on here. That's a very big difference. So you can go off and say all this stuff and, entertain and so awesome and all this other stuff. It's not a mature statement, and it's a victim message. I know you're not going to like me saying that to you. It's just the truth. You say, well, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not, it's this, they're like this. This is what's going on out there. And this is what the single guys are going through. And yes, I am the face of the single guys that agree with me on this here. There's nothing like family. There's nothing like you working hard to find something you're looking for and having to go against 80% of people that disagree with you. Nothing like it. And by the way, getting married, very hard, hardest thing you'll ever do. I will only do it once. I've said it 15 years straight. If this doesn't work out, you will never see me get married again. Ever see me get married again. I'm only going to get married once. I'm not doing it twice. That's me. Some people do it 2 or 3 times. But for me, it's one thing I'm doing once. I got the 4 kids. I got the family. It is what it is. But the audience and the victim of language, I don't recommend it to anybody. But some tells me you got a rebuttal here.
Well, yeah, I do. Because, dude, if there's anybody that can take heat, it's this guy over here. I'm sure the chat's going crazy. I'm sure.
Oh, I guarantee the chat's on your side.
Maybe they're not. I don't care.
Because I'm not even looking at it, but I guarantee the chat is saying.
Go back to that picture of Rachel Ziegler.
Yeah.
Because, Pat, if I'm going to listen to you, I'm going to say entrepreneurship, building a business, marriage, kids, there's values, principles, religion, God. There's so many things I'm going to listen to PBD on. But you've been married for 15 years. You don't know what it's like. This is the girl that most guys are dealing with these days.
Oh, it's such an annoying angle to take for you.
Okay. But it's true.
No, it's not.
So you know what's interesting about me?
Bro, the more
is that I'm not
change,
soft, and I'm not going to say you're right because you're my boss.
You're right.
I'm going to say this is what I feel.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Most guys are saying, hold on, I'm dealing with either a boss babe who doesn't want to deal with an average guy because they've become the man that they want to become.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I know you're a data guy. It's gone up 10% in the last 20 years. Now more women than ever are single. So you have a girl who's more focused on her career and based on hypergamy. If you don't make a certain amount of money,
the two.
You don't. But then the second one is. Then the second one is you're dealing with a girl who's doing all the host stuff out there. Why do you think that our friend Andrew...
That's been around forever.
No, because the internet's only been around for 20 years. Why do you think Andrew Tate has such a big following? Because he's talking about getting married and living happily ever after? Or he's basically saying, guys, the hoes are out there. Let the hoes be hoes. Do what you want with the hoes. This is literally what he says. But don't marry them. Don't marry them. He just had a viral clip go out there with our friend Sean Kelly. He goes, they're going to do what they're going to do, but don't make the mistake like that schmuck who married Riley Reid and bringing this chick who gets DP'd for a living home to mom.
Who the hell?
Don't make that mistake.
You're taking the exception and making that the majority.
No, but that is what is becoming more common.
No, it's not about being more common. Adam, the more and more I think you're about to have a breakthrough, the more easily you're flattered and influenced and revert back to old way of victim thinking.
You're making this about me.
It is, though. It's not.
I don't give a shit. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to be okay.
No one's saying.
I'm talking about the general man in society.
No, the general man in society
is struggling right now.
No, the general man in society
is struggling.
I'm not telling you
they're broke. They're not getting laid.
Yeah.
They're out of shape. They're sloppy. They're playing video games, and they're dealing with women who are basically saying, unless you have a yacht or a boat or a mansion, I'm not going to deal with you. And they're like, oh my God.
First of all, the general man in society is not living near somewhere where there are yachts. You're in Miami.
Okay.
Miami's not America.
Use that as a metaphor.
No, the point.
Okay, unless you have a pontoon in Lake Minnetonka, I'm not hanging out with you.
Yeah, Adam, whatever you're talking about, that's victim language to me forever.
Okay.
It's the victim language.
I guess I'm a victim.
No, for sure you are, though. In this context, you
Tell
are.
me why I'm the victim here.
Because
life's pretty damn good for me.
No, because when I was 23 years old, I said I would never me at 23 years old. If my daughter came up to me and said they're dating me at 23 years old, I would say I'm not ready to have you marry a guy like that. And I chose to change. If you increase your market value, your options go higher.
Okay.
Then you get to pick and choose.
Clearly.
Who can do that? What man can do that?
Me.
No. What man can do that? Not
a
you.
guy who's made it in his life that has status,
No.
that has money,
Instead of being this
that has
arrogant,
credibility.
entitled victim,
I'm not even being arrogant.
Hear me out. What man can do that?
What do you mean? What
Every
man?
man.
What man can change to increase their value?
Every man can or should, but they don't.
But that's their problem.
I agree.
Okay, then. So I'm not going to feel sorry for you.
But I'm not. You're not. I'm not.
Not to you, to them.
Do you know what the black pill
hang on
community
a second. If a guy comes out and is sitting there and talking about, well, you don't know what the market's like out there. Sitting there playing, video games 3 hours, you deserve exactly what you're getting.
I agree.
If you're sitting out there gaining 75 pounds and you're fat, you're saying the market sucks, you deserve. If you're not improving reading books, instead you're reading some nonsense.
Fully agree.
So to me, I don't feel sorry for that guy.
But
I don't.
So that guy's being the victim.
That guy's being the victim.
So how am I being the victim?
By you
Because I've done all the things that you've told people to do: make money, get in good shape, increase your market value, increase your status, increase your network. I've done all those things. So now I'm receiving the benefits of doing that because I'm not settling down right now.
Okay, Adam. The biggest criticism towards you is your level of hypocrisy and not being able to make up your mind. For example, if you say, I want to be a playboy the rest of my life, keep living a life you're living. That's your choice. Keep living it. But don't sit here and say, well, let me tell you, this one girl used to be this. I'm playing all these videos, and just a week ago, I had a conversation with you about how we talk over certain things we say. You do it again the following week. After I had a conversation with you last week. After Sarah Huckabee Sanders looked up to me, I told you I don't like that. So if you want to go do something else on somewhere else, do it. Don't do it in a place like this. And I've told you this 50 times. You lack respect in the way you communicate sometimes.
Okay. I apologize for
And
that.
I told you this how long ago? How long ago was this when I had this conversation? And you talk like this. It's like the guy's got 2 daughters sitting here. Okay, there's a part of a little bit this that respect goes a long way. And by the way, I can sit here and talk to Andrew Tate, have a phenomenal conversation with him, and I don't agree with his lifestyle. And I can sit there and say, that's what you choose to live, do it.
Why don't you push Andrew Tate like you're pushing me right now?
No, because I have pushed Andrew Tate.
Not like this?
No, because for you, you want to have the family. He said he doesn't want to. You say you do. So you're like this guy. Andrew Tate, this is me. Great, go. I respect anybody that believes in whatever they believe in. Doesn't mean I have to choose to live the way you live.
Yeah, but
for you, it's like this. You're so easily, what is the word that you're easily influenced? What is there's a word for it. What is the word that somebody can easily change their minds on? Not impressionable. It's a different, malleable. You're so easily malleable. Like you can go hang out with a group here and then you'll change. And you go hang out here and then you'll change. You go hang out over there, you'll change. Make up your freaking mind. Who the hell are you? What is your identity? What do you stand for? Every freaking week you change to somebody new. Who are you?
I don't.
It's true,
fully
though.
disagree with you.
I agree with that. I fully believe that.
Because I say one day I would like to have a family.
No,
you're using that as against me to be like, well, where's your damn family already, bro?
Nobody said that to
This
you.
guy said this for the last 5 years. He doesn't have anything. Give Vinny the same vibe that you're giving me.
Nobody said that to you.
Keep that energy with Vinny.
Because
when you're trying to get him a girlfriend on the neck.
But Vinny, the difference between you and Vinny is Vinny wants to have a family, and Vinny doesn't want to go to the clubs, 11 nightclubs, 24/7. He doesn't. He doesn't want to live that life.
Okay.
Period.
That's Vinny's choice.
And that's Vinny's choice. Guess what? I respect his choice because he's standing his ground that this is what I want to do.
Okay.
Vinny wakes up in the morning. Vinny chooses to read the Bible. Not because I told him to read the Bible, because I don't read the Bible in the morning. That guy does. He's the example to him. I'm not the guy that says, you better read your Bible in the morning. That's a bad example. I don't do that. So I can't sit there and claim to do something that I'm not doing myself. Biggest criticism to you is make up your damn mind and stand up for something already. Make up your damn mind and stand up for something already. Truly, for you. The audience sitting there saying, well, let me tell you, he's right. You don't know what the girls are like out there. Girls have been like that for as long as I've known girls.
Not like this today, Pat.
They've been like this for as long as I've known girls.
Okay, not like today, Pat.
You can say not like today.
Pat, I wish I could just have that in my DNA to say, look, Pat's my boss. He's the man, and I'm not going to disagree with him.
Adam,
I'm sorry. If I disagree, I'm going to say I fully disagree.
I don't care if you disagree. This are one of our key words on the freaking company is debate, but respectful.
Okay, am I disrespecting you?
The way you're presenting your argument is disrespectful.
I don't think it is.
I think it is.
Because I cursed one time, I apologize.
No, it's because I had a talk
but my
with you.
argument is not wrong.
I had a
because
talk
I cursed
with you.
one time.
No,
and I apologize about that.
Your argument for a person that wants to live that life is not wrong. Yes, if you want to live that life. And I'm telling you, it's a victim man's life. Let me put it to you this way. If I date a girl, she leaves me, she does something to betray me, and leaves me for another man with more money, am I the victim? Am I the victim?
If you have a victim mentality, maybe you are. If you're like, I'm going to get back out there, dust off myself, and get out there, you'll be fine.
Give the ownership for that woman to see me as a victim. I will never give it that credibility.
I agree with you.
Perfect. So for you, you're saying, well, let me tell you all the girls, it's all the girls, all the girls that. It's a victim's language.
Okay.
I don't know what just happened to the mic. Something happened to it, popped. So whatever you guys did in the back, it just popped here for me. Okay.
Well, I apologize for cursing.
Dude. Guys.
And I want to say it publicly. Yeah. I think this was a very much needed conversation. I think the way that you and I interact on camera, even off camera, is very important. I mean, we can have a great time together, and then we can argue, and we can go back to neutral.
I had a conversation, okay, with a couple friends this last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them very simply, a word that gets me to realize who I can trust more or less. You know what is for me at least, this is going to sound weird. Some are going to say you're crazy, and I don't blame you. It's okay if you say that. I'm okay with this. The older you get, you ought to have some values and principles that you're willing to die for. And the older you get, you should have things you stand for. For me, my number one is seeing another man that has a fear of God. And when you see another man fear of God, there are certain decisions they're going to make because they fear God. You get somebody else that doesn't have that fear, they're reckless. I have kids. When I have kids, I went on a date with my daughter the other night. We set the phone aside, and she sat right here. We didn't even do a double date. We went just by ourselves. It was a father-daughter dance, whatever you want to call it. We've never laughed this hard together. Never laughed this hard together. When she grows up, she may marry a guy like me. A guy that, probably has a strong personality. A guy that's probably going to be within my community where they're at. I pray to God to watch over her. I pray to God for her to have good people in her life. My job is to do whatever I can to make that environment more protective of her, hopefully set an example so later on she's able to make some good choices in her life. It's so much easier and attractive to just live a life of just for me. It is a lot easier life. Trust me, if I right now chose to drop everything I got going on with the family and the kids and everything, I would have way more time to run my companies. I'd probably make a lot more money. And I'd probably have a more fun life. Living a selfish life. There's no way in the world that's going to be fulfilling. To me, others can live it, and guess what? More power to you. But what do you stand for? Until you can't get a paper and pen and write down what you stand for, and everything's about, they're this, let me tell you, Pat doesn't know this, and da-da-da-da, for me, the hoes, my brother. All right, cool. Live that life. You know, and the way you live, you're going to attract that audience. Whoever connects you, you're attracting people like yourself. What you tell them, you're going to get them to live the life that you've lived versus giving them a different direction and saying, you may want to consider this. That's how I'm wired. I don't have the problem with the debate. We do this all the time. Mm-hmm. We're a 24/7 debate environment. Guy comes up to me saying, hey, you don't like Adam. I hear you're going to fire him. Nope, that's not been the case. I will tell you that the respect part is very important to me. And I've told you this many times. And that's not going away anytime soon. It's not. It's going to be very, it's not just respecting me, respecting the audience that comes and tunes into us. We're not everybody else's show. So a lot of shows that's like, fuck this, screw this, F this, this is not the show. This is the show that let's try to make our argument in the most reasonable fashion and be entertaining at the same time if we can. While trying to maintain what? Respect. I don't want to lecture you. I'm just giving you my values.
I'm cool with that.
At this age, what I want to do. Anyways, okay. Rob, did we miss any stories? Because I think we still have 2 hours left.
Well, it looks like Tom and Vinny want to weigh in right now.
No, they've been playing tic-tac-toe over there and just looking at their notes. Gang?
Thank you for that, Pat.
Yeah, of course. Rob, what do we have tomorrow?
Tomorrow, 9 a.m., we have the open AI whistleblower, Sachir Balaji's parents joining us on the podcast, and then Thursday, home team.
Thursday, home team. Okay, guys, by the way, tomorrow's podcast, she did a podcast with Tucker Carlson January 15th. She got footage from the officers, chest recording, saying this looks like a homicide, and she gave us a bunch of documentation that'll be revealed tomorrow. This is the sudden death of the OpenAI whistleblower that the autopsy says suicide, but they went and hired a PI, and they come and do the recording, and they say, I don't know if it's a suicide or not. There may be a second bullet there, but you'll see that tomorrow in the podcast when it's revealed at 9 a.m. Take care, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.